the hangover from Saturday. Saturday was incredible. You know, we had Big O and I and Sean Stanley were out at our watch party, our broadcast for Inter Miami. This past Saturday night, we were at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company in Pompano. It's a really good time out there. They're lucky that I was working and I was keeping it professional. I had one beer on Saturday night, okay? If I hadn't been working, because we were doing the pregame, halftime, postgame shows, so I couldn't get stupid drunk, all right? You know, one beer doesn't do anything to me. I'm a heavyweight. Like, one beer is not an issue. If I'd really wanted to live large, I would have had 4, 5. I would have tried basically every type of beer that they had. They had, like, in-house brews, like 14 or 15. There was one dude out there that I thought was really weird who got, like, a bottle of an off-brand beer that wasn't one of their brews. Like, why are you going to go out to a brewery and drink something you could get anywhere? I don't understand that, because the beer that they were making there at Dangerous Minds was excellent. Big O had that 95.4 shilling, which looked really good. I didn't taste his beer because even if there wasn't a pandemic, I don't really drink after other dudes from their glass, so I didn't try it, but I trust his review. He said it was awesome. I had the Hefeweizen, the Willys wheat, and it was really good. I mean, it was up there with some of the better wheat beers that I've had. I'm going to be an absolute regular at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company in Pompano. And the good news to everybody is all of our road game broadcasts will be out there. Every time Inter Miami play on the road, hey, they play on the road on Sunday. Ooh, lunchtime kickoff, 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday, which means we're going to have lunch out at Dangerous Minds Brewing in Pompano Beach. O and I are going to have the pregame show starting at noon. The game will kick off at 1 o'clock. We'll have the halftime. We'll have the postgame. We'll eat some pizza, which was really good out there as well. We'll drink some beer, and a wonderful time will be had by all. So Saturday was an amazing day. We were out there at Dangerous Minds watching Inter Miami. Inter Miami get the victory. We'll talk about it throughout the show. We were watching the UFC event. Now, my stomach turned a little bit when I saw what happened to Chris Weidman. God, that was horrific. And so ironic, because years ago, the exact same thing happened to Anderson Silva against Chris Weidman. Silva threw an early leg kick, Weidman checked it, and his shin snapped in half. I didn't like watching it happen then. I still hate watching something like that happen to a professional fighter. This time, just a few seconds into his fight with Uriah Hall, Chris Weidman throws the low kick. Uriah Hall checks it. And one of the most gruesome sports injuries you will ever see. I didn't actually want to watch the replay. I went out of my way to avoid watching the replay. I don't understand the sick fascination that people have with flooding my Twitter timeline and my Facebook timeline. I only even log into Facebook like once a month, and I had the misfortune of logging into it on Sunday morning when people were passing that clip around. I don't understand the fascination people have of like replaying gruesome sports injuries. I tried to avoid the Weidman replay. I couldn't avoid it because it's everywhere. If you open your eyes, you're going to see it reposted somewhere. God bless him. God bless his recovery. He had successful surgery already, and he seems to have a really good attitude about it, this Chris Weidman. And it's so ironic because Weidman's been on the other side of it. The second time he fought Anderson Silva, catches the low kick, checks it, Silva's leg snaps. This time Weidman is unfortunately the one whose leg snaps in a very similar instance. And speaking of the Anderson Silva connection, really classy stuff here from the former champ. So Anderson Silva, who knows that sort of injury all too well, and he, of course, had 2 clashes with Weidman. This was back in, I want to say, 2013 and 2014 were the times that they squared off against one another previously. And there's a lot of respect between those guys because Weidman was the one, Chris Weidman was the one all those years ago that ended Anderson Silva's long reign as the middleweight king. And Silva's a really respectful guy about that. Anderson Silva tweeted out, "My deepest and most sincere sentiments, champ. Have faith. I wish you a speedy recovery. In this moment, I wish you and your family light, love, and knowledge. To the fans of the sport, please respect this moment of this incredible warrior, and let's wish he is 100% very recovered soon. May God bless you and your family," at Chris Weidman. So that was I thought that was wonderful. Real recognizing real, because nobody knows what that situation is like better than Anderson Silva, because he went through it all those years ago. He went through it, man. He knows it. So after that, a couple fights later, main event, Kamaru freaking Usman. My God. You know what a funny thing, Tito, about the reaction to that fight is? A lot of people just like are unable to separate politics from sports, and that's fine if that's, you know, the way you want to live your life. If anytime you find out something that an athlete doesn't agree with you on, that you just want to hate them for, like, you do you. But I thought it was really funny, Tito, how a lot of people were celebrating Jorge Masvidal getting knocked out because he's a Trump supporter, but Kamaru Usman is also a Trump supporter. Maybe people don't know that. So it's like, I mean, pick your poison, dude. I mean, if you're going to be so turned off by a professional fighter because of their political opinion, you may want to know what the other guy's opinions are as well before you get all hot and bothered over it.
Well, like I tweeted out, like, when you get caught on camera, like, I guess not Usman, but Masvidal saying, like, Usman doesn't punch hard. He doesn't have it in him. He'll never have it in him.
Yeah, that was a really stupid thing to say.
Right, and you get knocked out the way, you know, Masvidal did. There's going to be some dancing, bro. Like, there's going to be some dancing on you. So, I mean, in regards to the politics stuff, that's, like you said, that's a lack of research on people's end. But to me, like, the fact that, like, the buildup that UFC kept showing was Masvidal specifically saying he's not a puncher. He punches really soft. They're one of the softest punches I've ever felt. And you get, I mean, just right hooked the way he did. Oof.
I mean, his lights were put out. Absolutely. And that really is a testament to Kamaru Usman's greatness. I was saying this to Big O in the crossover. I think Kamaru Usman is, if he keeps on performing the way that he has for, I think he's been in the UFC, I want to say about 6 years, because going back to the Ultimate Fighter when it was Team Black Zillions versus American Top Team, I want to say that was like 2014 or 2015. So he goes back a long time in the UFC, and he has just been consistently excellent, getting better and better with every fight. I think Kamaru Usman is a year or two away from getting the same sort of respect historically that people like John Jones and George St. Pierre, who fought in that weight class. He was the former greatest of all time at welterweight. Anderson Silva. I think Kamaru Usman is a couple of years away from getting the same sort of respect that some of the great champions in MMA history get historically. So that was just an unbelievable performance, and it's such a testament to his greatness because these two guys fought once before this past summer, and Usman outworked Masvidal for a 5-round decision. And there were plenty of excuses for why Masvidal didn't perform better the first time, because he took the fight on very short notice, and he had to cut a lot of weight very quickly. So there were a lot of excuses there. One could say that, hey, you know, Masvidal got outclassed in the first fight, but that's not really a great barometer for what kind of a fighter he is, because he wasn't able to get in shape because he took the fight on such short notice. For this second fight, Masvidal had months to prepare for it, so there was no short notice excuse whatsoever. So by that logic, you could say, I expect Masvidal to do much better in the second fight, that he might actually be able to do enough to beat Usman because we're going to get a better version of Masvidal. And that might have been true. It might have been a better prepared version of George Masvidal, but it was a much better version of Kamaru Usman because he's one of the greatest fighters on the planet. The guy has no weakness. Relentless cardio, world-class wrestling, extremely powerful hands, great aggression. You can be as aggressive and walk people down as Usman is when you know your cardio is not going to fail you. I mean, the guy is just an absolute specimen, and he's strong as hell as well. So that was really, really cool watching him do what he did. And also allow me, if I celebrate Inter Miami's victory from Saturday, I see some purported Inter Miami fans even trying to downplay that victory because they weren't happy with the consistent level of play over the course of 90 minutes. Bro, I'm not about style points. I'm about 3 points. It's what our good friend Frank Crivello, who joins us on some Fridays, always says. It's not about style points. It's about 3 points. It's about getting results. And there was plenty to be happy about. And the whole thing about playing consistent soccer for 90 minutes, that's a double-edged sword, my bros, because, okay, you can say, oh, well, you know what, on Saturday in the victory against the Union, you only really played great from about minute 70 to minute 90. So you didn't look very good for 70 minutes. You looked really good for 20. So why would I be happy about that? But guys, the week prior to that, in the opener against LA Galaxy, Inter Miami played really well for 70 minutes, didn't play so well for 20, and they lost the game. So these things even out over the course of a season. So I'm not going to allow these critiques, these judges who say, oh, well, you weren't playing champagne football for 90 minutes, so I don't really feel like this victory is so valid because you looked a little vulnerable for 70 out of those 90 minutes. Guys, shove it. Shove it where the sun don't shine. You went into Philadelphia. Nobody beat that team on their home field last year. Nobody drew them on their home field last year. Philadelphia Union, very similar squad to the one that they had a year ago. Supporters Shield champions last year. Best regular season point total in Major League Soccer, and they went 9-0 on their home field a year ago. They beat us twice. They clowned us the second time. Inter Miami went into Philly and took 3 points from the Supporters Shield champs from last year. And you saw the Higuain brothers absolutely come alive over those final 20 minutes. I don't have time for the haters. I don't have time for the doubters. I don't have time for these national writers who before the season were like, oh, Inter Miami, they'll probably finish 11th, 12th, 13th out of 14 teams in the Eastern Conference. And, oh, this team really blows. We don't like the way this franchise is run because, they spent a lot of money on players and they're really Hollywood and they got David Beckham. Like, okay, you want every team to be Nashville is basically what you're saying. A little confession. I actually like the way that Nashville plays. I'm a fan of that style of defensive structured. What?
I said, screw them.
No, screw them. But I kind of enjoy the style that they play. We're going to go in there and take 3 points, though.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I'm just not a fan of their coach last. What would the title of the match we were in against them? It's not a playoff.
It was the play-in.
Play-in. Okay, yeah. Claiming that they were the underdog and that Inter Miami
is ass clown.
Right? Yeah, ass clown alert. Right? Like, okay, buddy, relax. Yeah. So I hope we shove it up there. You know what's.
Yeah, like he said something about how Inter Miami didn't deserve to be in the playoff because they extended the field. And you're right. Like he basically said, oh, well, because Inter Miami spent more money than them, that they were the underdog. It's like, okay, Nashville was technically an expansion team last year, as were we. The difference was Nashville already had a team. They played their way up through USL, and then they took the USL team and put them in Major League Soccer. It's not. We don't have promotion relegation in this country, but we've seen it happen a handful of times. Happen with Orlando City and some others as well, where they'll take a USL franchise and put them in Major League Soccer, and Major League Soccer expands. And that's what Nashville did. They already had a team. We didn't have a team. Like we literally built a team from scratch. Nashville already had a team. And so, yeah, they had a bit of an advantage last year, and they also had the advantage that came from having an actual tactical identity. And we've talked about it a lot. Inter Miami didn't have a tactical identity last year. I thought Diego Alonso could have done a much better job using a consistent formation, and instead he was just changing things along as he went along. And I think Phil Neville can do a lot better, and I was very happy to see Phil Neville get his first win. We'll talk a lot more about it because when we come back, we're going to have our winners and losers from the weekend. Spoiler alert, we have a lot more winners than losers coming off of what was a pretty epic South Florida sports weekend. So keep it locked right here. Later this hour, one of my favorite segments of the week. We didn't do it last week, but we're doing it earlier this week. We're going to have Kyle Krabs on from DolphinsWire.com and the Draft Network to preview the draft with us. That's about 15 minutes away. But keep it locked right here. You're listening to the only locally owned sports station in South Florida, OnsideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dano. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Listen to OnsideRadio.com anywhere by downloading the MyTuner Radio app in your app store. Or go to MyTunerRadio.com on your web browser. OnsideRadio.com. South Florida sports leader. When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. At OnsideRadio.com, we chirp all day and night. It's time to do some more chirping with David Dwork and our Chirping the Cats report.
The final road trip of the regular season will kick off tonight when the Panthers take on the playoff hopeful Nashville Predators at Bridgestone Arena. It's a big night for Florida as the Cats can clinch a playoff spot with a win of any kind. The Panthers are still fighting for that top spot in the Central Division, trailing the Carolina Hurricanes by just 1 point. The Cats are coming off Saturday's thrilling comeback win over the Canes, led by captain Sasha Barkov's ridiculous no-look game-winning goal in overtime. It was the fourth goal Barkov has scored during a 3-game point streak. He's really picked things up of late, racking up 9 goals and 12 points over his last 12 games. As for Nashville, they've been on one hell of a run, and they're doing it at just the right time, going 15-5-1 since mid-March to climb into 4th place in the Central Division. Every game is crucial for the Preds, with Dallas and Chicago charging hard to leapfrog Nashville and claim that final playoff spot. Monday night will be the first in a back-to-back set, so it'll be a quick stop in the Music City for the Panthers.
Keep up with the latest on the Florida Panthers by subscribing on most platforms by searching Onside Radio, your home for South Florida sports.
Join the Inter Miami family in 2021 by becoming a 2021 season ticket member. Enjoy enhanced access benefits and pricing not available to general fans. Visit intermiamicf.com/tickets for more information.
This Saturday, Inter Miami CF visits the Philadelphia Union at Subaru Park.
And now Higuain trying to bend his run it behind. Flag is temporarily stayed down. Higuain is in at the square with Robinson. No square. Robbie Robinson has opened the scoring. The flag is stayed down. And Inter Miami are off and running in 2021. They lead the LA Galaxy by a goal to nil.
Join OnsideRadio.com as we broadcast live from Dangerous Minds Brewing Company in Pompano. Our pregame broadcast watch party starts at 7 p.m. Game time is 8 p.m. Listen to all the games by going to our website at OnsideRadio.com and download any of our apps. Follow Inter Miami CF all year long on your home for football. OnsideRadio.com. You're listening to OnsideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnsideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station.
With Make-A-Wish, the impossible becomes possible. A girl battling cancer can become a race car driver battling the course. The boy showing all the nurses his fire trucks can take the helm of a real one. Wishes can give kids with critical illnesses the strength to keep fighting, get better, and grow up.
Where there's a wish, there's a way.
Wishes need you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dono. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Yo, in about 10 minutes, we're going to talk NFL Draft, Miami Dolphins with Kyle Krabs. This is the week for Kyle Krabs to shine. This is his Christmas week. This is like Santa Claus preparing for Christmas. That's Kyle Krabs preparing for the NFL Draft because it's all about Kyle on Thursday and on Friday. I guess on Saturday as well. You know what? For a guy like Krabs, he's as invested in rounds 4, 5, and 6, and 7 as he is in the early part. It's people like me, Tito. I start to take kind of a mental vacation the third day of the draft because I don't know who half these guys are.
Well, I can tell you, one thing that I vividly remember was going to the Dolphins facility for day 3 of the 2018 draft with under Adam Gase, and none of those dudes remain with the Dolphins. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of just random-ass names that Adam Gase took. Bunch of random dudes. Second day, I mean, Jerome Baker's still with the team. That's nice.
Second day's good.
Second day's good. But to your point about Kyle, this is his NBA playoffs, man. This is his Stanley Cup. This is where he makes his money. He lives for this stuff.
All right, It's been a busy weekend. It was a really good weekend overall in South Florida sports. It's time to crown our winners and losers from the weekend.
Let's check out the winners and losers from this past week with Alex Dano. Winners and losers.
No doubt we got more winners than losers coming out of this weekend. We'll start first winner, the entire Higuain family. Gonzalo scored with his head to make it 1-1 off a Federico assist. Federico scored with his head to make it 2-1 Inter Miami off a wonderful assist by Nico Figal. I want to give him credit as well. And most importantly of all, Gonzalo Higuain, he got revenge against the Philadelphia Union. And he didn't forget. We know that because he did the shush pantomime after scoring the goal to tell those Philadelphia players to shut the crap up, man. Because you remember, last year, Higuain made his Inter Miami debut, his MLS debut on the road in Philly, and that was the game where he missed the penalty kick. And when he missed the penalty kick, a bunch of Philadelphia players got in his face and celebrated, and it turned confrontational, and they were complete dicks about it. Higuain didn't forget about it, and he scored a goal. He got to celebrate. He got revenge. I thought that was awesome. And speaking of the Higuain family, I'm really happy that both brothers scored. I mean, first of all, how cool is it that two brothers score goals in the city of brotherly love? That's great, and it's great that we put it in Philly's face. But I know for the Higuain brothers, because I've been hearing about this for almost a year now, their mother has been ill. I can remember even back when Gonzalo was a member of Juventus before he came over to Inter Miami, during the COVID hiatus, the lockdown last spring, because the Serie A, he was playing with Juventus at the time. The Serie A was shut down for a couple of months. And I remember, and it was very controversial because Italy was on lockdown, but Higuain was given special permission to travel from Italy to Argentina to be with his sick mother, and it was very controversial because normal people were not allowed to travel, so they thought, oh, is he getting special privileges and leaving the country and all that? But I can remember hearing about it basically a year ago that he had an ill mother. She's still hanging around. She's not been well. So to have both brothers score and make that kind of a statement, I thought was really, really neat. And it got Inter Miami 3 points and their first victory of this 2021 season. So that's really, really cool. And in fact, we talk about Gonzalo getting revenge. I thought Federico was the man of the match. Well, arguably, Nico Figal probably, it comes down between the two of them, between Federico and Nico Figal. But Federico Higuain, when he came on, it made all the difference in the world. Another winner, Alexander Barkov. How about my dude? Scores the game winner 24 seconds into the overtime against Carolina. Finally, the Panthers actually beat Carolina, collect both points. I would have preferred if they didn't do it in overtime because you gave Carolina a point in the process, but I will take the victory. Someone had to get the extra point. The Panthers got it. And Barkov individually is a winner. Did you see the goal that he scored, Tito? Did you see what Barkov did in overtime?
I did not.
Dude, no-look goal.
Oh, wow.
Like he was looking to his left like he was going to make a centering pass, and then he did a no-look shot and just humiliated the goaltender. It was so awesome. It was unbelievable what that man Sasha Barkov is capable of. Another winner. We've already talked about him a bit, but he deserves a winner's mention. Kamaru Usman. What a statement that dude made. Just crushed George Masvidal by TKO in the second round. Clipped him with a powerful right hand. He added some extra shots on the ground. Usman is starting to make the case to be known as one of the greatest MMA fighters in history. He's that good, unparalleled in that welterweight division right now. Final winner, Saturday night. Bros, it doesn't get any better for South Florida sports fans than what we got on Saturday. Inter Miami wins. The Miami Heat beat the Chicago Bulls. Is it, Tito, is it tonight that we face the Bulls again? We're going to kick hopefully we kick their asses more convincingly.
Yep.
Hopefully we don't let them score 38 points in the fourth quarter like we did on Saturday night. So the Heat are going to try to humiliate the Bulls once again. But on Saturday night, the Heat got it done against Chicago. Inter Miami got it done in Philadelphia. The Florida Panthers got that overtime winner from the captain, Barkey, against Carolina. We never beat the freaking Carolina Hurricanes, so that was awesome. And even the Miami Marlins won on Saturday. Plus, for Onside Radio, we had an awesome watch party out at Dangerous Minds Brewing in Pompano. So a huge thanks to the folks from Dangerous Minds for making really good food, awesome beer. And when the Higuain brothers each scored their goals, the place was electric. Like it was so awesome. and it kind of felt like life is getting back to normal. And we were masked up and all that good stuff, but being out in public watching a sports game, it felt so 2019, and I really appreciate the great time we had. So we have a couple of losers, and again, when I crown a loser, I'm not always mocking that person. Like, sometimes misfortune can make you a loser. And the first loser, Chris Weidman, that was absolutely awful what happened to him. I feel terrible. 3 seconds into his fight, he throws a low kick on Uriah Hall. Hall checks the kick. Weidman's leg snaps. I wish him a speedy recovery. He reportedly had successful surgery on the leg already. And, nobody should ever have to go through what he went through there. So all the best to the former champ. Final loser. My biggest regret, Tito, is actually, you know what? I'm actually proud of myself that I didn't flip on the TV after I saw this tweet. But I see Skip Bayless tweet this morning. Let me find the tweet. Skip Bayless tweeted why the Dolphins should take a quarterback at number 6 and forget about Tua now on Undisputed. So he teased out, and you know what, Tito, I was tempted for a couple of seconds to think, maybe I pull out the remote, I'll turn on Fox Sports 1, see what Skip Bayless, that chooch, has to say about the Miami Dolphins, and I thought better of it, because why am I going to let the trolls win? Why am I going to So Skip Bayless thinks the Miami Dolphins should be drafting a quarterback at number 6 and forgetting about Tua. If the Dolphins draft a quarterback at number 6, it's going to be a pretty crap move, my friends. I mean, if you were really that into a quarterback with your first pick, you would have stuck at number 3 and had your choice of better players, right? Because if you end up saying, oh, maybe we'll draft Mac Jones or Trey Lance when we could have had Justin Fields or Trey Lance if we'd gotten a quarterback sooner, just let Chris Grier cook. Chris Grier knows what he's doing. If you're going to put Tua in a position to succeed, you need to actually surround him with capable players, right? You've already gone out and gotten Will Fuller to play wide receiver, which is nice, but you still need an elite, young, first-round pass catcher. And I think the Dolphins are about to deliver on that. So don't be the idiots who take a quarterback in the top 6 2 straight years because you can't make up your mind on which guy you want. And I'm very thankful every single day when I say my prayers at night. I say, Lord, I'm so thankful that Chris Grier, not Skip Bayless, are drafting players for the Miami Dolphins. So I thought, even for bringing that up, Skip is one of the losers of the weekend, man. A guy who never loses, Kyle Krabs from the Draft Network and DolphinsWire.com is going to join us to talk some Dolphins and some draft when we come back. Remember, we have our big NFL draft party, watch party, Thursday night and Friday night. It's going to be at Sports Grill Bird Road. So come out and see us. Big O and I are going to have the first round live coverage on Thursday night starting at 7:30. Second and third round, night 2, will be on Friday starting at 6:30. It starts a little bit earlier, so you can have some of those amazing wings, watch the draft with us, talk some Dolphins with us on Thursday night and Friday night right here on OnsideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dano. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Onside Radio, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan. Listen to every Inter-Miami CF match on your home for La Rosa Negra. OnsideRadio.com. Catch us every day on the MyTuner Radio app. If you missed Onside Zone with Big O, you missed.
You know where the Krispy Kreme is at?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
remember,
about.
fat people use food places as landmarks. That's what we do, okay? Hey, you're going over there? Listen, you go a mile down, you turn a left on the Kentucky Fried Chicken, and then you go down about 3 more blocks. There's a Tijuana Flats. Make a right. 1 block down, it's right next to the 7-Eleven. That's a fat person. Guaranteed. No, dude, it's 3 miles down right next to the Carvel. That's fat people for you. That's we love food. We know our landmarks.
The Onside Zone with Big O, only on OnsideRadio.com.
Join the Inter-Miami family in 2021 by becoming a 2021 season ticket member. Enjoy enhanced access benefits and pricing not available to general fans. Visit intermiamicf.com/tickets for more information.
Parents, we know we can't protect our kids from everything. Eventually, they're going to bump their heads or scrape their knees. But we can protect them from 6 types of cancer. HPV, or human papillomavirus, is a common preventable virus that can cause cancer later in life. The HPV vaccine prevents human papillomavirus and all the cancers it can cause. The American Cancer Society recommends getting your sons and daughters the HPV vaccine starting at age 9 to protect them later in life.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Keeping you informed in the world of sports. With an OnsideRadio.com sports update.
Over the weekend, Inter Miami pulls off the victory over Philadelphia Union. The Higuain brothers combining to give Miami the win. Federico Higuain with the go-ahead winner in the 83rd minute, a header. Next match is Sunday. They take on Nashville in Nashville. Pregame starts at noon, 1 p.m. You can listen to that match right here on OnsideRadio.com. Miami Marlins in Milwaukee tonight. Trevor Rogers is on the mound for the Fish. First pitch is set for 7:40. Miami Heat, they host the Chicago Bulls tonight. Tip-off slated for 8 p.m. Heat trying to pull ahead of the Celtics in the Eastern Conference standings. And the Florida Panthers are in Nashville tomorrow night. Puck drop slated for 8 p.m. Panthers can clinch the playoffs for the first time since 2016 with a victory over the Net Predators. With your Onside Sports Update, I am Tito Bonacci. Coming up next, it's more Man of the Match with Alex Dono right here, OnsideRadio.com.
You're listening to this station with more live and local sports talk than anyone else in South Florida. OnsideRadio.com. Broadcasting from South Florida to the world. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dono. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Welcome back into Man of the Match here on Onside Radio. Alex Dono with you till 6 o'clock. So excited to start the show. Didn't even mention that, as always, we are broadcasting live inside Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, home for Inter Miami CF. I'm looking out the window. Those pink, black, gray, and white seats are just calling my name, man. Beautiful day today. It's a little hot for my tastes. I'm a fan when the weather is in like the 60s down here, which happens like 7 or 8 days all year. But it's a little hot today, but the blue skies are wonderful. I see the Fort Lauderdale skyline just kissing the horizon off into the distance. What a beautiful time to be alive. We're trying to track down Kyle Krabs. We'll get him on as soon as we can find him. He's very, very busy this week, as you guys know. By the way, a huge shout out to our guy, Herman Cueva, who brought to our studios here. I missed him. I didn't get a chance to see him today because I got in, a little bit later after he was here. But Herman brought Big O and I Honduras soccer jerseys. It's actually really beautiful. So, Herman, I cannot thank you enough, man. And, I collect soccer jerseys. So does Big O. Like, Big O has a bunch of really old-school soccer jerseys in his collection. Mine are mostly within, like, the last 25 years or so. O has jerseys that are, like, 50 years old, probably, some of them. But I do collect soccer jerseys, and I have a lot of respect for Honduras. I remember, back when I was high school-aged, I went to – this is at the old Orange Bowl. There was an international friendly being played at the OB between Honduras and Peru. And I remember going out because I was just a soccer junkie. My dad took me out to this game, and I remember going out to the Orange Bowl. It was actually a double header, I think. So there was USA and Colombia, and Honduras-Peru. So I didn't go just for the Honduras-Peru game, but I came for a doubleheader, which was really neat. I don't know how often they do doubleheaders in a stadium these days. It was really cool. And I remember going out there being blown away because there were so many Honduran supporters. Like, just the support that they had for their national team was just insane. Like, you would have thought, hey, there would have been like a lot of Peruvians and Team USA fans and Colombians, and there were, but Honduras was so well represented, and their fans were so rowdy and so crazy. We had such a good time out there. It gave me a lot of respect for the Honduran soccer tradition, so I really, really appreciate that. And yeah, Herman says he's coming by the draft party this Thursday. Everybody in the chat, everybody on the text line, you are more than welcome to come out to the Sports Grill Thursday night and Friday night. I know Thursday, I would imagine, is going to be even more jam-packed because that's when you get the first round in. But anyone who can come out Thursday and or Friday for our draft party at Sports Grill and Bird Road, you're going to be happy. I mean, they have TVs all over the place. They've got those wonderful grilled special wings, which should be really the main attraction, but also watching the NFL draft with Big O and myself. It's going to be really, really good, man. If you want to reach us on the text line, I realize I haven't even opened up the text line yet today. Let me get that open. 844-416-8123 is how you reach us on the station text line. 844-416-8123. So there are so many different ways to chat with us, guys. You can chat with us via YouTube if you're able to watch us, stream us live there. Pull up the watch live button, and you can chat. I'm active on the chat as well. You can chat with each other. You can chat with me. Or if you're listening on one of the mobile apps, you're listening on OnsideRadio.com, you can reach out to us via the text line. Texter writes in, Donna, how about our first win? You were right. The haters seeing this win, big for us since Philly is supposed to be a tough squad, being in CONCACAF Champions League and winning the Shield last year. We'll circle back to that because we have Kyle Krabs now. This is the man, the myth, the legend. This is Kyle. I compared Kyle Krabs on draft week. This is like Santa Claus preparing for Christmas morning. Like this is such a big week for you, man. How you holding up? How you doing?
Well, I can't speak to Santa Claus, but I'm certainly not sleeping any with all the preparations we got going on. So it's an exciting time, like you said. It's a long process to get to this point, and this is going to be one of the most unpredictable ones since I've been working in the space, which is 2013.
Yeah, something I wanted to ask you about, because you wrote about this in DolphinsWire.com this week, and by the way, you can check out Kyle's work at DolphinsWire.com. On the Draft Network, and he hosts a couple of great podcasts, the Draft Dudes podcast and Locked On Dolphins, which are all must listens, especially if you're a Dolphin fan. Kyle, could you see a scenario where, the Dolphins actually try and trade up to get an extra first round pick? Like they already have 6 and 18, but could you see them trying to also move for a third first round pick late in the first round?
Yeah, I think so. It would kind of go against the grain based on what we've seen of 2 years of the Flores and Greer era. But at the same time, this roster has had 2 full off seasons plus a third level of free agency, kind of overhaul this roster. And there's a lot of young talent. There's 2 players on the roster that are 30 or older. And at the start of free agency, and even as of the start of April, there were 0 players on the Dolphins roster that were age 30 and older. So you're getting the foundation not only set but established now, and it's finding the right pieces to sprinkle amongst that. And I think for Miami, you ask yourself, okay, how many rookies could you see making the active roster after 3 free agent cycles and 2 full NFL drafts, including last year, in which you ended up bringing in over like a dozen players if you include trades. So if they feel as though there's a run on players that is starting in the 20s, like, it should definitely be on the table. And you see teams do this all the time. Like, Baltimore Ravens are notoriously known for picking by volume and drafting by volume, just like the Dolphins. But Eric DeCosta and Ozzie Newsome, they jumped up in 2018 and traded back up to 32 to draft Lamar Jackson. So I think if it's the right player, it doesn't matter what your tendencies are. And if your team is in the right position, which I think Miami's starting to transition into, it should certainly be on the table or something we're at least keeping an eye on.
Something we talked about a couple weeks ago, Kyle, was trying to get a handle on what Atlanta might do at 4 and Cincinnati at 5. I think Atlanta could be a real wild card here. What do you think is the likelihood that the Falcons draft a quarterback at number 4?
Man, well, I mean, I think it's helped significantly if the report that came out this weekend is true that San Francisco has narrowed their field to Trey Lance and Mac Jones. I think if Justin Fields is there for Arthur Smith's offense, that's the prospect who probably projects the best. He, along with Trey Lance, I think it would have to be the right situation in Atlanta. It seems like there's some pressure from ownership and management to potentially draft the quarterback. If the right one is there, I think there's a fair chance Justin Fields could be viewed as the right one. And Mac Jones going at 3 is absolutely, positively the absolute best case scenario for the Dolphins, to hope that, that forces Atlanta to either get that sweetheart deal to get them out of 4 or prompt them to make that choice themselves.
Yeah, a guy who's really been kind of a punching bag by the media is Justin Fields. There have been all these weird reports that are like trying to discredit him. Now one of these is, a legit medical report when we learned about a week ago that he's dealing with epilepsy. Now, my understanding is that this is something that has never affected his football career, and doctors even believe he's going to outgrow it. So could something like that affect his draft stock, or is that just, something teams wanted to learn about and they're probably comfortable with the information?
Well, I mean, if he's been dealing with it, then he played with it at Ohio State, and it certainly didn't impact his opportunities to be an impact player and a plus starter at the college level. So I don't know the medical specifics of what the risks are, but it sounded like, based on the reports and what was put out there when this news became public, that Justin Fields is dealing with epilepsy and has a chance to grow out of it, that there will be zero impact on his football career. So I would anticipate if Justin Fields falls, it will be for other reasons or concerns that teams may have, whether or not they're justified from those of us on the outside who evaluate him as a talent, who think he's just absolutely phenomenal, which is exactly what I think he is. I think he's closer, in my opinion, to Trevor Lawrence for QB1 than anybody else is to him for QB3, in my eyes.
Yeah, great stuff here. We're joined by Kyle Krabs from Draft Network and DolphinsWire.com. Kyle, do you think center is a position the Dolphins could or should address on the second day of the draft?
I think the second round or the second day is the sweet spot to go find a center. So often you hear interior offensive line is kind of diminished as not a valuable position, and you could find starters there on early day 3, which is true. The Dolphins found Solomon Kinley in the 4th round, and they were aggressive to go up and get him. But center, I think, is a little bit more of a featured role because you're playing the keystone and centerpiece of the entire offensive line. And you have to be able to play in either direction and then get up on the second level and get out in space. And regardless of what style of offense you play, there's a lot more asked of you. Sometimes you're responsible for calling protection. So I wouldn't go cheap at center, which is why I think it is interesting that Miami reportedly, after signing Matt Skura, still had the offer on the table for the Patriots' David Andrews. So that tells me they're still going to be in the market and kicking the tires. Is Landon Dickerson's medicals enough to scare you off? Because if it's not, he's the picturesque, perfect center for this offensive line. Brought in 10 notable offensive linemen over the course of the last 2 years. Their average weight was 325 pounds. And Landon Dickerson's 333 at center, which is massive for a center. So, I think from his size, physicality profile, his football intelligence, having a history with Tua, all of those things make him the ideal fit for Miami, with the asterisk being he has significant medical issues that could cause Miami to be scared away potentially by what could prevent him from being a consistent piece on the field, which down the stretch, the tail end of Mike Pouncey's career in Miami, that was a frustration and a sticking point at the center position as well.
One of my listeners wanted me to ask you, and I think it's actually a good question to kind of, this is going to be the last time we talk to you before the draft, so it might be a good way to kind of wrap up the conversations we've been having for months. Assuming it's picks 6 and 18 and there's not, movement there, assuming the picks the Dolphins have now are the picks that they use, what would be your dream, Kyle? I mean, what 2 players could the Dolphins walk away with at 6 and 18 in the first round and you to say, ultimate job well done?
Well, I think Kyle Pitts at 6 is one. And if Kyle Pitts is not there, my preference would be Jalen Waddle over the other options, Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith at number 6.
Yeah.
At 18, there's a part of me that selfishly would love to see like Kevin Jenkins, the right tackle from Oklahoma State, come in just to see like him and Robert Hunt playing next to each other on the right side of the offensive line. But just kind of based on what the edge rusher, the pass rusher group looks like, I think going with defense would certainly be ideal. I think Micah Parsons from Penn State is a hybrid linebacker, is another really strong candidate to step into that Kyle Van Noy role. But I would probably lean into either Kwity Paye or Jalen Phillips.
Nice.
Jalen Phillips, the medicals there and the concussion history is the big question mark. And if they're not comfortable with that, Kwity Paye, stylistically, build, explosiveness, heavy hands. He's going to play on early downs right away. Miami is going to have blitz and pressure packages that should allow him to manufacture some free runs, much like we saw from Emmanuel Ogbah last year. So I think that pairing at 1 and 2 for their top 2 picks would probably be my ideal outcome for the Dolphins.
I like it a lot. Last thing here, I kind of assume Cincinnati at number 5. Like it seems too obvious if he's there, for them to get Penei Sewell and address the left tackle position. But do you think that's really where they're leaning? Who do you expect Cincinnati to go with, assuming Sewell is still on the board?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because a couple of weeks ago I said I had a pretty good feel for what direction that they were going to go, and they have since made a steep, sharp left turn and gone in another direction. So I'm leaning into them drafting Jamar Chase at this point. Obviously there's the connection with Joe Burrow, wanting to surround him with weapons. They lost A.J. Green. I get it. They made some investments on the offensive line. Hopefully it's not enough for them to feel as though that's a job well done. That's one thing I'll give the Dolphins credit for. If anything, last offseason, we don't know what all those assets and investments are going to equal, but the Dolphins weren't content to just do what they had done in years past, which is add one guy and call it a day.
Right.
So for Cincinnati, it's a question of do they trust the tackle depth enough, and do they like what they've added to be able to say, hey, we think Jamar Chase pairing him with Joe Burrow, that sum is going to be greater than anything that we can add up front. And from what my understanding is, there's a lot of pressure in that building that is pushing that pick that direction, but that is not a consensus, or at least was not a consensus as of sometime last week or the week before that.
Jeez, picks 4 and 5 are going to be so compelling. I really appreciate your time. Have an awesome week. I know you're going to be grinding like crazy. That's why you're at Grinding the Tape on Twitter. You're going to be grinding a ton, until the draft is finally over at the end of the weekend. Kyle Krabs, make sure you check out his work, DolphinsWire.com, the Draft Network, and on the Locked On Dolphins and the Draft Dudes podcast. Kyle Krabs, thank you so much, man, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, Donna. It's good catching up with you. Take care.
Same to you, man. And wow, you know what? I want to address the roundtable question for the day on the other side, and what Kyle said about Cincinnati. That's really going to affect my answer. I mean, I'm a little nervous now about the first 5 picks. We'll get to that and more when we come back here on Onside Radio. Hey, Inter Miami fans, join us for every road game as we broadcast live from Dangerous Minds Brewing Company, 1901 North Federal Highway in Pompano. Join Big O and myself. Enjoy the delicious food and incredible house drafts and giveaways. Inter Miami CF fans, your new home for every road game is Dangerous Minds Brewing Company in Pompano. Follow them on Twitter at Dangerous Minds B and Instagram at Dangerous Minds Brewing.
We'll be right back to the man of the match with Alex Dano. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You're listening to the only sports station in South Florida that likes to take your calls. 888-441-4623. We connect with a South Florida sports fan because we are South Florida. Locally owned and operated. 888-441-4623. OnsideRadio.com. South Florida's home for real sports talk. You can connect with us at OnsideRadio.com by sending us a text at 844-416-8123. Save it on your cell phone, 844-416-8123. No better place to send your comments, ask questions, win prizes. OnsideRadio.com, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan.
For over 20 years, Mr. Glass has been committed to the safety and satisfaction of our clients. Our products are the culmination of innovative engineering, aesthetic appeal, and the highest levels of quality. Through our legacy, Mr. Glass strives to impart the true meaning of quality, service, and sustainability to new generations. Reputation, experience, and trust is why clients choose Mr. Glass. Live the future now. Locate a dealer near you today.
Time for a Sports Grill NFL Draft Profile. Florida tight end Kyle Pitts. This 6'5" junior comes in at 239 pounds.
End zone shot, and Pitts got it. Touchdown. 2 defenders right there, and Pitts able to rip it out of the air for the score.
The ultimate matchup nightmare would look phenomenal in a Dolphins uniform, lining up everywhere on the field and causing havoc for defensive coordinators. Forget those that tell you he's not a burner. When you're an excellent route runner, body level control like a young Larry Fitzgerald, and craftiness to get separation, Kyle Pitts will dominate at the next level. Teams that could select him: Atlanta at number 4, or the Miami Dolphins at number 6. Join OnsideRadio.com for NFL Draft Week at Sports Grill in Miami, 11481 Southwest 40th Street, Bird Road. For a 2-night event starting on Thursday, April 29th at 7:30 p.m. and Friday, day 2 at 6:30 p.m. Listen to the live broadcast exclusively at OnsideRadio.com, or join Big O and Alex Dono for the best Miami Dolphins draft coverage on your home for real sports talk. OnsideRadio.com. Every Thursday, NBA fans can catch one of the best basketball shows in the country when Ethan Skolnick and Ira Winderman host Inside the Paint. Listen to 2 of the most knowledgeable and connected reporters in the business. Get year-round insight every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. with Inside the Paint on the home for hardcore basketball fans. OnsideRadio.com.
Big O for M&S Air Conditioning. You know, air quality in your home and business is more important than ever. That's why you've got to call M&S Air Conditioning and let them install a high-efficiency polarized air filter in your AC unit. Folks, it attracts, captures, and destroys biological contaminants to improve your air quality. With stellar customer service, answering your call from 7:30 a.m. till 9 o'clock p.m. For more info on high-efficiency air filters and their preventative maintenance plans, visit M&S Air Conditioning at ac-florida.com.
You're listening to the station with more live and local sports talk than anyone else in South Florida. OnsideRadio.com. Broadcasting from South Florida to the world.
When you're looking to add that extra style and protection for your home or business, visit A Shade Above Window Fashions in Davie or Sunrise, where plantation shutters are a major part of our business, and they look great in any home. We have them in white, stained colors, and wood tones. We can even motorize your shutters like the one in the OnsideRadio.com studio. A Shade Above Window Fashions, 954-434-4774. That's 954-434-4774. Love the space you live in. A Shade Above Window Fashions.
You're listening to the only sports station in South Florida that likes to take your calls. 888-441-4623. We connect with a South Florida sports fan because we are South Florida. Locally owned and operated. 888-441-4623. OnsideRadio.com. South Florida's home for real sports talk. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dono. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
So I just we went a little long with Kyle, so I'm going to put off the roundtable for about 4 minutes. We're going to get to it around 4 o'clock. Onside Radio, Man of the Match with Alex Dono. I'm Alex Dono, taking you up until 6 o'clock tonight. So we're going to talk about the possibilities for the Miami Dolphins' 6th overall pick.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex.
A little itchy trigger finger over there. Tito sent me this story. Only in Florida, beachgoer finds $1.5 million worth of cocaine washed ashore in Florida. Looks like this happened in Palm Beach area. Yeah, Palm Beach beachgoer found packages with a $1.5 million price. The funny thing is, so obviously the person who found these turned them over to the authorities. I all the comments are, oh, you threw away $1.5 million. How could you do that? What? Think about it, guys. Assuming the person who found them is not a cokehead, what are you really going to do with $1.5 million worth of cocaine? Like, do you really just want to become a drug dealer? Like, honestly, like, seriously, it's easy for people to say, oh, I can't believe he turned in $1.5 million of cocaine. That's $1.5 million. So put yourself in that person's shoes. If you find a bunch of bags of cocaine washed up on a beach and you have zero connections in that underworld, are you just going to say, yeah, I can move this. I'll find a fence for this. I'm going to sell this.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Like, come on, man. This ain't Breaking Bad.
Set up a lemonade stand and just start smuggling the coke through that.
People are so dumb. They never think this stuff through. It's like, honestly, like, if I'm walking on a beach this afternoon and I stumble upon a bunch of gigantic bags of cocaine, I'm probably going to do the exact same thing this person did and alert the authorities. You really think I'm going to, like, stuff those bags in the back of my car? Like, I want to drive around with $1.5 million worth of cocaine? I'm going to figure out a way to sell it? Oh, it's ridiculous, man. Now, if you find literal bags of cash and you turn that in, you're a sucker.
Agreed.
That it's one thing to say.
Might be a sucker either way, but yeah, you're a sucker.
Right. You're an absolute sucker if you, like, find actual cash and then you turn it in. Then you're a loser. But $1.5 million worth of cocaine, I would have done the same thing. All right, 4 o'clock hour coming up here on Onside Radio. Hey, Sundays from 1 to 3 p.m. baseball. No, it is Saturdays. What the hell's wrong with me? I can't read. Saturdays from 1 to 3 p.m. baseball fans can go deep into the count with Alex Aguirre and Christian Chase. Catch the show that talks Marlins and all the big stories in the major leagues. Every Saturday from 1 to 3, Seamheads have a new home. Listen to Deep Into the Count exclusively at OnsideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dano. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You're listening to the home of Inter Miami CF.
His strike is a decent one. It's fired into the top right corner. Gonzalo Higuain opens his account for Inter Miami.
OnsideRadio.com, where the passion for La Rosa Negra runs deep. You're listening to OnsideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnsideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station. OnsideRadio.com knows gamers need a home.
Can you dig it?
That's why for the next 60 seconds,
Can you count, suckers?
here's your Onside Radio E-Report with Toast.
The International Olympic Committee have finally decided to embrace esports somewhat with their first licensed event for non-physical virtual sports beginning on May 13th. After years of back and forth as to whether the IOC would ever include esports in their event, the Olympic Virtual Series appears to be the start of that very thing happening. Konami's eBaseball Powerful Pro Baseball 2020, online cycling platform Zwift, International Rowing Federation World Rowing, Sailing Race Simulator Virtual Regatta, and racing game Gran Turismo have all been tapped for the event. The Olympic Virtual Series starts on May 13th and runs until June 23rd, serving as a precursor to the Summer Olympics in Tokyo. Happy gaming.
Stay in touch in the world of gaming with the Onside Radio E-Report. You're listening to this station with more live and local sports talk than anyone else in South Florida. OnsideRadio.com. Broadcasting from South Florida to the world. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dano.
It's all yours. Just keep it right here.
You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Pesci. Knocked away by Bennett. Huberto behind the net to feed the Uyghur blast. He scores! Mackenzie Uyghur has tied it at 1 in the final minute of the period. Hurricanes win the board battle. Jake Gardner over to Pesci. The slap shot score. It deflected in. And Carolina grabs the 3-1 lead. Duclair in after it. Into the end wall by Hakepa. Niederreiter couldn't clear. Uyghur held it in. Here's Huberto. Cross ice. Forsling scores! Gustav Forsling sneaks it in. A great pass by Huberto. It's a one-goal game again. Panthers looking for an odd man rush. Shot here by Gardner. Drieger the save. It's loose right in front. Bouncing around at the net. Cleared up to the point, but not out of the zone. Trocheck against Barkov in the circle. And the Hurricanes get the first crack out. Slavin sets it up. Plays it ahead. Trocheck moves in. And Uyghur knocked it away. Drieger sends it up the boards. Here comes Barkov trying to get a step on Svechnikov. Barkov walks in. Barkov shoots. The Delta makes the save, and it goes in. They score! Alexander Barkov, overtime winner.
Bros, the Florida Panthers were the cherry on top of the weekend. Finally got 2 points against Carolina. I just wish they'd done it in regulation because Carolina are still a point in front of us on top of the Central Division. Really funny tweet from Dookie Lang, the Channel 10 producer. You know, when the game was tied at 3 in the late stages, Dookie Lang tweeted out, like, to Coach Q, pull the goalie, beat these guys in regulation. Like, I mean, it's hilarious. You obviously, you don't pull the goalie when you're tied. You pull a goalie when you're down. But I thought that was freaking funny because going to overtime, you know, getting a victory in overtime is great. It's a lot better to get 2 points than 1 point. But, you know, when you're going up against a division rival who you're competing directly with for the top seed, like the Panthers are, you know, you would have much preferred not allowing, I should say, your opponent to get 1 point for the overtime. But listen, beggars can't be choosers. The Panthers have had an awful enough year head-to-head with Carolina. Overall, the year's been great, of course. But head-to-head against Carolina, it's been a nightmare this year. So I was happy, even if we spotted Carolina a point by beating them in overtime and not beating them in regulation, I was still thrilled about that for the Panthers. And so Panthers taking on the Nashville Predators tonight. Any form of victory, you lock up a playoff spot, whether it's in regulation or overtime. You lock up a playoff spot tonight with several games to spare. That's incredible. This Florida Panthers team has allowed me to raise the bar mid-season. Because my bar before the season started was just get to the playoffs any way you can. I don't care if you're the last available seed. Just get into the playoffs this year. That was my standard. But, God, this team has been so good for the entire year, despite having players in and out due to injury. They were very lucky early in the season not having many injuries, but you know, lately they've been without Aaron Ekblad, who was so good before he hurt himself, before he broke his leg. You know, they've had games without Barkov, without Hornquist, without Anthony Duclair, who's had a really wonderful season, and yet the Panthers have stayed consistently good throughout all the adversity. Bill Zito is going to mess around and put his name into the annals of great general managers in South Florida sports history. You think about how lucky we are right now. You know, we've got the Don, Pat Riley, who's been at the helm of the Miami Heat since the mid-'90s and has been incredible. I think Chris Greer is doing a hell of a job with the Dolphins. Bill Zito is putting himself right up there. Alex Aguirre, how's Kim Ang doing? Are there what are the early reviews on, like, how much credit can we give Kim Ang to the Marlins having a decent start?
They've been okay. Like they just lost 3 out of 4 against the Giants. Now they're going to play against Milwaukee, and they're in the top 10 in power rankings right now, which is Milwaukee's always a sleeper.
Yeah, they always are. It seems like,
and they've always had good runs when Ryan Braun was in his prime. They made the playoffs a few times, so they're up against a good team. Yeah, well, that too. Yeah,
Ryan Braun.
But and Prince Fielder, I forgot another name
that's
well.
Right,
they were a good duo until found out about the steroids. But
sure.
But the Marlins are facing Corbin Burns. He's one of the best pitchers right now in baseball, so they have a really hard series up ahead for them. But I still like what I saw, even though they lost 3 out of 4 against the Giants over the weekend, because they were in every game. They were close games. I was glad to see Jesus Aguilar. 3 straight games hitting a home run, and he's supposed to be one of our power bats, and he hasn't hit any home runs up until that series. So his bats has come to life. The only thing is the Marlins have some injuries they need to overcome, with Starling Marte still out, Brian Anderson is out, Jorge Alfaro is out as well. So and they're still competing in these games, so It's a good sign. So they're fighting, which is something we haven't seen in a Marlins team for quite some time.
So I want to get to the roundtable question for today. How confident are you that the Dolphins will land either Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase with the number 6 overall pick? I got to tell you, I'm not confident. I hate to say it, but I think there's a higher than 50% chance they are both off the board by number 6 overall. Atlanta might mess around and take Kyle Pitts. Now, my hope would be, because there was a report that came out over the weekend that they're, leaning to a quarterback, despite so much of the recent noise saying they weren't leaning to a quarterback, that they might be a destination for Penei Sewell, or they might be a destination for Kyle Pitts. But honestly, you look at just what a talent Kyle Pitts is, and he may very well be the best non-quarterback available in this NFL draft. Hell, he might be the second best prospect behind Trevor Lawrence in this entire draft. If Atlanta is not 100% sold on taking a quarterback at number 4, it'd be hard for them to pass on Kyle Pitts. And then Cincinnati at number 5. I was extremely discouraged by the conversation that I had with Kyle Krabs at the end of the 3 o'clock hour, because Kyle told me straight up, a lot of the noise now, he wouldn't have said this a couple of weeks ago, but the direction now that Cincinnati are rumored to be going in is there's a lot of pressure internally and externally for them to draft Jamar Chase. Now, when he talks about pressure, what is that, marketing? To reunite Jamar Chase with his college quarterback? Are you getting pressure from Joe Burrow to say, hey, go get me the guy that I set records with in 2019 in college? You have to go get me that guy because we have the chemistry. That's an elite receiver. That's going to take us to the next level. Cincinnati is not a well-run franchise. The Bengals are a poorly run franchise. Leave it to them to make a bad choice. Now, for the Miami Dolphins, I've said it. I don't want them to draft an offensive tackle at number 6. I also don't think that they desperately need it, because I want to give more time to Austin Jackson on the left side and Robert Hunt on the right side. I think that there's reason to believe the Dolphins' offensive line, which is very young, can grow and get a lot better with experience. But in the case of Cincinnati, their offensive line is going to get their quarterback killed. Now, they've made some investments in the line, but that team could really use Penei Sewell. You're talking about the perfect destination for a generational left tackle. The team that has a quarterback that they just invested the first overall pick in a year ago, and their offensive line nearly got that quarterback killed. They got his knee shredded midseason. Listen, as a Dolphin fan, I'm not screaming to get a tackle in the first round. If I was a Cincinnati Bengals fan, I'd be saying, we invested a lot in Joe Burrow. We need to protect that investment. So we didn't protect him last year. So I think it'd be a bad move if Cincinnati doesn't draft Penei Sewell in the first round. And I'm not just saying that because I want, a non player that the Dolphins aren't coveting to be taken. So you might think there's a little bit of bias in me saying that, but I'm putting myself in the shoes of a Cincinnati Bengals fan, and they really need to get that right and draft Penei Sewell, but it sounds like they won't. It sounds to me like Cincinnati is going to screw around and go draft Jamar Chase. So I think there's a better than 50% chance, or worse than 50% chance the way you look at it, however, if you're glass half full or glass half empty. But I think there's a more than 50% chance that both Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase are off the board when the Dolphins come up at number 6 overall. But I'm here to tell you, it's not a tragedy. I'm here to tell you that the reason why the Dolphins were confident in moving from number 3 ultimately to number 6 is they feel they can get a player that they love even at number 6. So you're hearing some second guessers out there. Oh, the Dolphins made a huge mistake moving from 3 to 12 and then 6. Huge mistake, because at number 3 they could have had any of these guys. And then they were arrogant moving down to 6 because they thought, well, they're all still going to be there at number 6. Now they may not all be there at number 6. The Dolphins made a terrible mistake. No. Chris Grier, I guarantee you, is thinking 2 moves ahead of what you, me, and Skip Bayless are thinking, all right? I guarantee you Chris Grier only made that move because at the end of the day, he's confident that a player that can really help the Dolphins is going to be there at number 6. If you think that Chris Grier's draft board was plan A, Kyle Pitts, plan B, Jamar Chase, and then there's no plan C and no plan D, you're the one being arrogant. Chris Grier knows what he's doing. It's not a tragedy. It's a disappointment. It's a disappointment from my perspective. If number 6 rolls around and Pitts went off the board at number 4, Jamar Chase went off the board at number 5, And then, you may not get the player that all the Dolphin fans were clamoring for, because I think most of us have been coming around towards Kyle Pitts in recent weeks. May feel like a tragedy for you, but I'm telling you, the Dolphins are confident that there are a number of players that could be there at number 6 that Chris Grier is enamored with and can help this team. Now, if it comes down to either Waddle or Smith, I prefer Jalen Waddle. Kyle Crabb said the same thing. He prefers Jalen Waddle over Devontae Smith. I worry just a little bit about that size. Just a little bit. I worry about his durability at the next level. But no matter who it is, if it's Waddle, if it's Smith, if it's Pitts, if it's Chase, I'm going to be content as a Miami Dolphins fan. But to answer the question, how confident am I the Dolphins will land either Pitts or Chase with number 6 overall? After what Kyle Crabbs told me a half hour ago, I'm not too confident. I think there's a higher than 50% probability that they're both off the board by that point. I hate to say it, but that's where I'm at, man. You guys heard about this? ESPN is going to do a Marvel-themed broadcast for an NBA game. Basically, they're copying what Nickelodeon did with that NFL playoff game. This is from thebiglead.com. This is what the PR release says. The latest development in Marvel and ESPN's long history of sports content collaboration. Is that a joke? That there's a long history of sports content collaboration with Marvel? This is an actual press release. What's the history? The telecast will integrate elements from an original Marvel story and iconic characters, including Iron Man, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Captain America, Black Widow, and Doctor Strange throughout the live game, including 3D virtual characters, custom graphics, and animation packages. This sounds like the worst idea of all time. The Nickelodeon thing was a little bit different. When the NFL had that Nickelodeon playoff broadcast, you didn't have to watch that. You could watch it regularly on CBS. It sounds like this Marvel thing is something they're really forcing down your throat. So at least with the NFL playoff game, you could choose to watch a regular broadcast, or you could flip over to Nickelodeon and watch it. The other thing was, I could understand the point of the Nickelodeon thing, because that was trying to cater the game to kids who wouldn't be watching the NFL game otherwise. This one, you're catering to mouth breathers. What is this? A sporting event can't be fun enough. Is it? You got to create some fake storyline with Doctor Strange. You create a fake plot to an NBA game. So there's an actual backstory that they're presenting for this broadcast. After a narrow victory over an invading alien army, the Avengers receive an ominous threat from the enemy, who vows to return in greater numbers and force. The Black Panther and Iron Man quickly realize they will need more help and form a plan to expand their ranks to fight this impending threat. Recognizing the superior physical abilities, agility, and tenacity of Earth's greatest athletes, the Avengers will hold a series of contests where the winners earn the right to train and fight alongside them as Marvel's champions. The Avengers will begin their recruitment with an NBA elite and observe the battle between the Warriors and the Pelicans, focusing on 3 star players from each team. Bro, you talk about reaching for content. Oh, this sounds ridiculous. Oh my God. I just finished Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Just very cookie cutter. I really enjoyed WandaVision, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier was basically, how can we just print more money? How can we just create an unoriginal cookie cutter story featuring some superheroes fighting around and get people to subscribe to Disney Plus and line our pockets with money. I got to tell you, I'm a capitalist, but capitalism is ruining sports if we keep ramming these Avengers broadcasts down each other's throats. I mean, come on. I can't just watch the freaking game. You've got to integrate Captain America and Iron Man. Didn't Tony Stark die? What are we doing here? Is there even an Iron Man right now? What is this nonsense? Again, I could understand the Nickelodeon thing because that was introducing the game to children. What is this now? This sounds like a bootleg version of Space Jam, this plot that they came up with. Are you going to be into this, Alex, this Avengers-themed NBA broadcast on ESPN?
No, I can't. I won't take it seriously.
I know.
I'm all for the slime and the cannons for the touchdown, the slime cannon stuff. Because yeah, it's for the kids, but like, who's your audience here? In reality, like
nerds,
maybe.
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Because like I feel like the NBA playoffs and the NBA in general is already entertaining as it is. I feel like why would you add? I don't know. Maybe they're just trying. It's just all about competition at the end of the day, and I feel like that's what they're trying to do.
I mean, I guess like the NBA ratings, I think, have been down a little bit. They might be trying to inject something different into it. I don't know. It just sounds incredibly stupid to create a fake plot and a backstory. That's just me. All right, we'll continue the 4 o'clock hour. Remember, at 4:30, we're going to talk with Franco Panizo from SBI Soccer. Going to break down that Inter Miami victory. And what do we do now with Rodolfo Pizarro? I think that's a big question to ask Franco. Hey, start your morning every day at 8 a.m. with Toasted Sports. Toast covers all the local sports stories while providing some great Miami Hurricanes insight. So download, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Toasted Sports, 8 to 10 a.m., only at OnsideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dano. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You can connect with us at OnsideRadio.com by sending us a text at 844-416-8123. Save it on your cell phone, 844-416-8123. No better place to send your comments, ask questions, win prizes. OnsideRadio.com, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan. If you missed Onside Zone with Big O, you missed.
She's kind of young, so I don't know. She may not be into Van Halen much. Let's see. Hey, Ruthie, good afternoon. Are you a Van Halen fan?
You know, I just had to Google Van Halen. I'm not going to lie to you. I just literally have it on my computer right now.
The Onside Zone with Big O. Weekdays 11 to 1 p.m. Only on OnsideRadio.com.
Hey Panthers fans, Dave Dwart here with some awesome news. Every Saturday, I'm going to bring you the latest on everything to do with the Florida Panthers with Chirping the Cats Radio. Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m., we'll dive into the state of the team, recap games, and hear from past and present Panthers players, and plenty of other great hockey guests too. Got questions about the Panthers? Call or text the show and we'll break it down. Don't miss Chirping the Cats Radio, Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m., only on OnsideRadio.com.
This Saturday, Inter Miami CF visits the Philadelphia Union at Subaru Park.
And now Higuain trying to bend his run in behind. Flag is temporarily stayed down. Higuain is in at the square with Robinson. He'll square. Robbie Robinson has opened the scoring. The flag is stayed down. And Inter Miami are off and running in 2021. They lead the LA Galaxy by a goal to nil.
Join OnsideRadio.com as we broadcast live from Dangerous Minds Brewing Company in Pompano. Our pregame broadcast watch party starts at 7 p.m. Game time is 8 p.m. Listen to all the games by going to our website at OnsideRadio.com and download any of our apps. Follow Inter Miami CF all year long on your home for football. OnsideRadio.com.
Big O for M&S Air Conditioning. You know, air quality in your home and business is more important than ever. That's why you've got to call M&S Air Conditioning and let them install a high-efficiency polarized air filter in your AC unit. Folks, it attracts, captures, and destroys biological contaminants to improve your air quality. With stellar customer service, answering your call from 7:30 a.m. till 9 o'clock p.m. For more info on high-efficiency air filters and their preventative maintenance plans, visit M&S Air Conditioning at ac-florida.com.
OnsideRadio.com gives you a ton of options to listen to the station. You can now download free apps from Radio.net, Podbean, and Simple Radio. Download any of these free apps and listen to your favorite Onside host. Visit our website at OnsideRadio.com to find all these links. Time for a Sports Grill NFL Draft Profile. Alabama wide receiver Jalen Waddle. This 5'10" senior is listed at 182 pounds.
Deep ball, man there. Get him on the fly. Waddle, there's nobody going to catch him. Jalen Waddle, touchdown.
The beauty of Waddle is in his versatility, as offensive coordinators can line him up everywhere, including the backfield. Several NFL sources tell OnsideRadio.com Waddle may be the better fit for the Dolphins than Devonta Smith. In 3 years, Waddle averaged 18.8, 17, and 21.1 yards per catch while scoring 17 touchdowns. While he's not a physical player breaking tackles, his extra gear and top-end speed will create all the separation you need in a league that's no longer patrolled by Lots, Atwaters, or the Brian Dawkins of the world. Teams that could select him: Miami Dolphins at number 6, Detroit Lions at number 7, New York Giants at number 11, or the Miami Dolphins at number 18. Join OnsideRadio.com for NFL Draft Week at Sports Grill in Miami, 11481 Southwest 40th Street, Bird Road, for a 2-night event starting on Thursday, April 29th at 7:30 p.m. and Friday, day 2 at 6:30 p.m. Listen to the live broadcast exclusively at OnsideRadio.com or join Big O and Alex Dono for the best Miami Dolphins draft coverage on your home for real sports talk. OnsideRadio.com. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dono. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Yo, in about 10 minutes, we're going to talk some proper football, some Inter Miami with Franco Panizo, our friend from SBI Soccer, to recap that big win for IMCF on the road in Philadelphia this past weekend. I'm so excited because I just got an email. I'm a degenerate. I'm on these email lists that send me these odds for prop bets. You know, different, and it's not all props. Like I'm on an email list that sent me recently NFL futures, win totals, that kind of stuff. But this is like a gift from heaven. I have in front of me NFL draft prop bets. Some of these are so ridiculous, and then I realize I'm going to end up betting on most of these. It's really sad. I'm gonna get your opinion on some of these too, Alex. Alex Aguirre is with us here at studio. He took over for Tito at 4:00. So here are some Trevor Lawrence prop bets. Is worst kept secret. We know he's going to be the top overall pick. There's not. I don't even know if there's odds on that anymore because it's so obvious. But here's some Trevor Lawrence prop bets. Who will Trevor Lawrence hug first? His mom, who's favored at 5-4. His dad, 9-5 odds. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I totally screwed that up. His wife, because he's married. So his wife at 5-4 odds. His mom, 9-5 odds. His dad, 2-1 odds. A sibling, 8-1. I feel like I need more information. I don't know how many siblings he has. If he's got like 7 siblings, then that would increase the odds of him hugging a sibling. If he only has one sibling, then I feel like there's just less odds by the number. So I need more information. Or will he hug a friend at 16-1 odds? Now, Alex, I think this is going to come down between his wife or his mom. But you got to hug mom first, right? I mean, the woman who raised you, you always hear like NFL players tend to be really good to their moms. You hear all these stories. Oh, first thing I do when I get drafted, I buy my mom a house, that sort of thing. I just feel like his mom, even before the wife, because like how long has he known the wife? A few years? He's known the mom all his life. I feel like it's got to be mom first, right?
It has to be. He's the first overall pick. You'll look so bad if you go to your girl over your mom. Like we've seen already like a bunch of viral videos out there of draft picks and their girlfriends jumping on top of them, and then their mom like giving them the stank eye, or the player doesn't know what to do. He's like, what do I hug first? So he needs to have a game plan, and the game plan is hug your mom first.
It's the only way to go. You got to hug mom first. Like the wife will understand. Okay, so the next prop, I don't even know where to go with this one at all. What will the primary color of Marissa Mowry's dress be? That's his wife. Marissa Mowry is Trevor Lawrence's wife. First of all, he got married recently. At first, I kind of found it odd. Like, you're 22 years old. The world is your oyster. Why are you getting married this young? Then I saw some pictures of the wife. My God, he had to lock her up. Like, it was the same way that the Jacksonville Jaguars had to lock up Trevor Lawrence. He had to lock up that Marissa Mowry. She is an absolute smoke show. So I totally get it. You're probably not going to do much better than that. Okay, I get it. So the primary color of Marissa Mowry's dress, will it be green, teal? at 5-4. I don't know why that's the favorite. That seems so random. Oh, I guess is it orange I see on here. I guess because of Clemson colors, but green teal's not a Clemson color. Will it be green teal, orange at 3-2? Oh, that's why Jacksonville.
Teal, I think, is one
That's
one of the colors.
corny though to match the team. I don't know. Gold at 11-4. Black. I don't know. Black seems a little too fancy. Like black is like you're at like a gala ball. I don't know about that. I don't know. I would need to consult a female on this. I wouldn't even know what she might dress like for that occasion. I'm going to do the rounds before. I'm not going to lock in a bet on this until probably Thursday morning. I'm going to ask my wife for her opinion. I'm going to ask any of our female listeners because honestly, our female listeners are probably better equipped for this than my wife because my wife doesn't watch sports. Like she has no clue what one would wear to the NFL draft. So I've got to get some of my female listeners to help me on this if they have any insight on what color Trevor Lawrence's wife, Marissa Mowry, might wear to the draft. Will Trevor Lawrence be wearing a tie? Even odds on yes, -140 on no. I'd probably lean no to that. Oh, I like this one. Will Trevor Lawrence cry? Yes at +550. No is the strong favorite at -1,000. Honestly, if he cries, if I'm Jacksonville, I think about trading him after draft. Like, bro, what do you do? You're going to cry?
You already, everyone's known this. Like, you should know this by now. You're the first overall pick, kid. Come on now.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't respect him if he cries after being drafted. Like, come on.
Trading him, though.
The work is starting. I would trade him. Yeah, if he cries, I'm going to say, I bet Justin Fields wouldn't cry if I took him.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would totally. I think that's grounds for being traded. There's a bunch of trade props here. Will Jimmy Garoppolo be traded during round 1? Yes at +170, no at -250. Will the Falcons trade the number 4 overall pick? No is the slight favorite at -180. Yes is at +140. I hope they trade the pick, because if they trade the pick, they're probably trading it to a team that wants a quarterback. Unless it's Dallas trading up to draft Kyle Pitts. Did you hear Jerry Jones, what he said to Kyle Pitts on that Zoom meeting last week? He said something about we can pair you with old Dak Prescott, and we're gonna have visions of sugar plums. What the hell does that mean? Is that the biggest old man saying visions of sugar plums?
I have never heard of that in my life.
Is that like visions of sugar plums? That's good. I've eaten plums before. Not a fan. I think plums might be one of the most overrated fruits out there.
I think they're supposed to help you go to the bathroom. And
yeah.
I think that's pretty much that's it. That's what it's good for.
I got to give my toddler some plums. That kid gets stopped up once a week.
There you go.
It's
Plums.
really aggravating. Anybody out there with young children, constipation is a huge pain in the ass, pun intended, I guess. Because it's like you just want to, like I want to tell the kid, eat some goddamn vegetables, but he refuses. Like I'm like, you could help me solve this problem by, drinking some prune juice, which comes from plums. Prunes are dried plums. Actually eating some the kid hates vegetables, and so every week he gets stopped up once a week. It's a whole thing, man. It's really aggravating. Will the Bears draft a quarterback in round 1? No is the favorite at -225. Yes at +160. Ooh, how about this? Will the Patriots draft a quarterback in round 1? That's a pick 'em. -120 for yes, -120 for no. I could see them as being a candidate for potentially trading up. I want to find the message. I think Rafa in Miami wrote it in earlier. What did he say? He said something about hearing about the Patriots trying to move into the top 10. He said something else about the 49ers choosing between Lance and Mac Jones. He says he needs them to take Jones so we have a better chance of Atlanta trading down or taking a quarterback. Yeah, and I think he wrote something else in about a rumor. Somebody did anyway about the Patriots trying to trade into the top 10 for a quarterback. I mean, listen, they may get a taker somewhere. If I'm Chris Greer, though, and my old boss, Bill Belichick, calls me about trading up to number 6, I hang up the phone so fast. I'm not going to help that guy get his franchise quarterback. I'm not really a fan of trading ever within the division. I know that it happens sometimes, but especially I'm not going to help Bill Belichick get his next franchise quarterback. I'm sorry. I don't care if he makes me an amazing offer that looks like it's going to help the Dolphins get better. I don't want to help him get better at the same time. No, thank you. No, thank you, sir. All right, we're going to talk some soccer with Franco Panizo from SBI Soccer. When we come back, we're going to recap Inter Miami's really important win on the road in Philadelphia. I'm being honest. I was hoping that they could get a draw in that game. Philadelphia is an incredibly tough place to play. A team that hadn't allowed a goal in over 3 consecutive games. Like I wasn't feeling great about getting all 3 points in Philly until we actually did it. That was a tremendous victory. We're going to break it down with Franco Panizo when we come back. Hey, every Monday, Heat and NBA fans can catch the best hour of basketball talk when Ethan Skolnick and Ira Winterman host they host the Palette Rack City Inside the Paint Show. Listen to 2 of the most knowledgeable and connected reporters in the business. Get year-round insight every Monday from 10 to 11 a.m. with Inside the Paint on the home for hardcore basketball fans, OnsideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the man of the match with Alex Dano. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You can connect with us at OnsideRadio.com by sending us a text at 844-416-8123. Save it on your cell phone, 844-416-8123. No better place to send your comments, ask questions, win prizes. OnsideRadio.com, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan. This Saturday, Inter Miami CF visits the Philadelphia Union at Subaru Park.
And now Higuain trying to bend his run it behind. Flag is temporarily stayed down. Higuain is in at the square with Robinson. He'll square. Robbie Robinson has opened the scoring. The flag is stayed down. And Inter Miami are off and running in 2021. They lead the LA Galaxy by a goal to nil.
Join OnsideRadio.com as we broadcast live from Dangerous Minds Brewing Company in Pompano. Our pregame broadcast watch party starts at 7 p.m. Game time is 8 p.m. Listen to all the games by going to our website at OnsideRadio.com and download any of our apps. Follow Inter Miami CF all year long on your home for football. OnsideRadio.com.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Inter Miami CF, your official furniture and mattress store, is here. City Furniture is your #1 home source for the trends you want at the prices you'll love, including exclusive City Furniture collections, the widest selection of styles, affordable home accents, mattresses starting at just $99 and more. Create the home of your dreams fast with next-day delivery, plus get 60 months special financing with no down payment. Because City Furniture is here to make it easy so everyone can live life like this, visit cityfurniture.com. Hey everybody, it's Good Greek Moving and Storage, and for over 2 decades, they've been entrusted to handle all of your moving and storage needs. And now, Good Greek is the official mover of Inter Miami CF. And if Inter Miami trusts the Good Greek, you should too. For the best move ever, whether it's across town or across the country, go to GreekMoving.com. That's GreekMoving.com for Good Greek Moving and Storage, the official movers of your Inter Miami CF.
Riddle me this. With all this sizzling meat and crunchy veggies nestled between toasty flatbread, who should get credit for Papa John's new papadilla? The person who invented pizza or the person who invented folding? Well, whoever it is, a tip of the tongue hat to you, sir or madam. Get a new papadilla, 4 flavors, just $6 each. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
My daughter Brinley is here at St. Jude. Coming here was literally life or death, and it was so scary. But St. Jude is fighting for one goal, like this one mission, life. And that gave us hope. We haven't received a single bill from St. Jude, so I really can just focus on what's best for Brinley.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Keeping you informed in the world of sports. With an OnsideRadio.com sports update.
Over the weekend, Inter Miami beat Philadelphia Union 2-1. Gonzalo Higuain scored in the 73rd minute. Federico Higuain added a header for the win in the 83rd minute. Next match is at Nashville next Sunday. Pregame starts at noon and called the game at 1 p.m. The Marlins lost 3 out of 4 to the Giants over the weekend. The Fish are in Milwaukee starting tonight at 7:40. Trevor Rogers versus Corbin Burns is the pitching matchup for tonight. Saturday, the Miami Heat beat the Bulls 106-101. Duncan Robinson had 7 threes and scored 23 points. The Heat welcomed the Chicago Bulls to the AAA tonight. Tip-off is at 8 p.m. Florida Panthers beat the Carolina Hurricanes 4-3 in overtime on Saturday. The Panthers will be back on the ice in Nashville on Tuesday. Puck drops at 8 p.m. You're listening to South Florida's only sports talk station, OnsideRadio.com.
Onside Radio, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dono. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Yo, so this is not exactly the tone that I wanted to start off this segment with, but I just saw a tweet from our next guest, Franco Panizo from SBI Soccer. Yeah, Franco, I'm truly heartbroken to see this update that you posted that several outlets are reporting that Gonzalo and Federico Higuain's mother, Nancy, has passed away today of cancer. Federico had said on Saturday night that he dedicated his goal to his mother. That's obviously awful, and I can remember, Franco, I follow the Serie A very closely, and I remember during the COVID lockdown last year that Gonzalo was given special permission to leave Italy to go to Argentina to see his mother who was ill, and so she's been battling this for a while. So I'm very saddened to hear about her passing, and Franco, this is just another illustration of how awesome it was for Gonzalo and Federico to have the game that they had on Saturday, and I was glad to see them dedicate that to Mom. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Obviously, like you said, not the tone that I expected to come into the show here with. Obviously, it's heartbreaking news, and heartfelt condolences to both the Higuain brothers and the entire Higuain family. Obviously, not easy to lose anyone, especially a mother. So, yeah, man, just tough news to see, read, and hear. And maybe the Higuain brothers won't be available this weekend. I mean, obviously, this is just conjecture on my part, but maybe they won't be available. Maybe they'll go to Argentina. Obviously, it's a difficult situation. So we'll see how things develop on that end.
Amen. Yeah, and I certainly would not blame them for as valuable as they are to the team. Some things are more important than sports. So I would not blame either of them, both of them, if they're not available this week. But, of course, we don't have any inside info on that just yet. Franco, do we have any info on the severity of Robbie Robinson's injury? Has anything come out on that?
Nothing has come out yet. Obviously, he came out of the game at halftime over the weekend with a hamstring strain that he picked up just non-contact on his own. Phil Neville said after the game they took him out as a precautionary measure. Whether that's still the case or not, still not clear. We haven't been able to speak to anyone yet this week from the team. So, just judging from how it looked and how it unfolded, I would imagine he's not available to play this weekend just because it was non-contact. He went down to the ground, and the hamstrings are tricky. Usually when they go, it's not immediate recovery where you can play the next game. So, again, this is just conjecture, just speculation on my part, but I wouldn't expect Robbie Robinson to play this weekend.
And how about this? And I promise we're going to dive into the actual match, but I was under the impression we were supposed to get info on the penalties for the Blaise Matuidi situation last week. Is there any update on that?
Well, Don Garber said at Inter Miami, Drive Pink Stadium now, that at halftime of the season opener that there would be some update, or there would be the findings of the investigation would come out by the end of the following week, which was this week that just passed, and that did not happen. That was not the case. Major League Soccer has not announced anything yet. I don't know if Don jumped the gun there or if they're still investigating. I'm not sure the situation yet. We haven't gotten an update there. We've been digging, but unfortunately haven't been able to get a hold of any tangible new information. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe this week, maybe not. MLS has been very secretive about the whole thing, and they said that they promise transparency when they do announce whatever they decide to announce. So hopefully that's the case because they obviously haven't stuck to their initial timeline that they gave us.
We're joined here by Franco Panizo from SBI Soccer. What a way to get 3 points. I mean, against Philadelphia Union on the road, a team that didn't lose a single game or even draw at their home stadium last year. They were a perfect 9-0 at home. Inter Miami got it done. Franco, the game really changed in the second half when Federico Higuain came on and when Rodolfo Pizarro came off. I'm not the biggest Pizarro fan. He is an incredibly skilled player, but I often find, for my taste, he holds on to the ball a little bit too long, and oftentimes the decision on the passes he makes isn't always the best. I thought you actually brought up a good point in one of your recap pieces that he really plays more at times like a number 8 than a number 10. And so, I mean, to you, obviously Pizarro is a highly paid player. He's a DP. He's very important to Inter Miami. So what do you think might be the best way to use him?
I mean, if you're asking me what's the best way to use Rodolfo Pizarro, I would use him as an 8. That's just me personally, what I would do, just because that's where he had a lot of the best moments in his career, was playing as an 8. When he came to Inter Miami, and maybe just before then, he started being used in more attacking positions. He's been used as a number 10 predominantly with Inter Miami. He has spent time out wide on the left, but he has been used mostly as a 10 with this team. I don't think that that's his best position. I don't think it suits or fits his qualities and what he can bring to the team. Yes, he can unlock a defense on occasion, like we saw in the season opener when he hit that perfectly timed through ball to Gonzalo Higuain to set up the Robbie Robinson goal, but he's not a true number 10. So if it was up to me, I mean, I would use him as an 8, but you already have two players you've invested good money into in those spots. So unless you're going to change your formation and play a 4-3-3, I don't know if you can move him out of that 10 spot. And, like you said, he does tend to slow down the game a bit at times. And it has to be noted that he is a player that came in with the previous regime, with the previous leadership. So, he had a very close bond with Diego Alonso, who had coached him at two different clubs before Inter Miami. Diego Alonso at one point last year said in Spanish, he had almost a paternal relationship with Rodolfo Pizarro. So they might be trying to make the best out of what they got, but, he might not be someone that the current regime cares for or rates because he might not fit what they have in store in terms of their quality, in terms of what they want to get out of that position. So I don't know, how much more you can get out of him. I don't know how much better it can be. Phil Neville did say dropping him and getting him more touches on the ball might be something that they do, but we haven't seen much of that through the first two games of the regular season. But we did see that in the preseason scrimmage, but not yet in the season.
It was great to get a win and 3 points, and I always say I will take 3 points over style points, so I'm thankful for the victory. I will give you, though, Franco, because you're very good at analyzing games, I will give you license to nitpick if you want to. Again, I think we're both happy to see the team win, but what were some of the things you maybe didn't like so much from that performance against Philadelphia?
Yeah, look, it was the ending was exciting, the way that they pulled it out, the drama that was involved, the Higuain shushing the Philadelphia Union players after, their celebration of his missed penalty kick in his MLS debut last year was all made for a great story. I watched the game with my family. They're season ticket holders. They all shouted for a goal. So, it's good that Inter Miami won, and the ending was exciting. But that should not overshadow what happened in the previous 60, 70 minutes because Inter Miami did not play well in this match. They pulled a rabbit out of a hat, and they won this one. Kudos to them. Phil Neville learned from his week one mistakes, made earlier subs, made the right subs, and they pulled this game out. But they did not play well. And for me, one of the reasons, aside from Pizarro, which we just touched on, was Gonzalo Higuain's habit of dropping deep into deeper spots. I wrote this on my piece for SBIsoccer.com, and I put images of the game, different stills of the game. He constantly drops back. And maybe he does it to get involved in the build-up because the ball's not getting to him as often as he would like, or he's not getting enough touches. But that takes away their reference point, their spearhead in the attack, and that just gives you one less option to score, or your primary option to score, because he's dropping back into other areas of the field. And not only did he drop back, but he often doesn't make the runs into the box. He doesn't follow up or follow through. That's something that has to be corrected by Phil Neville and by the team, because I don't think this is a tactic from Phil Neville. Phil Neville spoke to us maybe a month ago, maybe a little bit more or less around there, and said he wanted to have Higuain in the box as often as possible because that's where he's most lethal, right? That's where he's made his career. He's a finisher, a poacher, and you haven't really seen that, because even though he's scored in both of the games this season, and he has 3 goals for Inter Miami since he joined the team last year, none have come from open play. It's been a free kick, a penalty kick, and then a header off of a free kick from his brother. He still hasn't scored from open play, and you need him to start scoring from open play. You need him to be more dangerous in the final third if you're going to get your money's worth. They're paying him reportedly $8 million, and if you're going to make the most out of the talent and the potential that you have for 2021, because having him drop back into areas of the field where he's not as dangerous, even though he can do some things with the ball, is not what you would expect from him. It's not what you want out of him. That's not his best qualities, even though, again, he can do good things in those spots at times. And again, I've seen this with other strikers in MLS, other really skilled and really experienced strikers that have come from Europe, Thierry Henry, David Villa. I've seen them do some similar things when they've dropped back to find the game because their teammates aren't getting them the ball, and maybe they're used to a different quality or level of quality. So they drop back to try to find the game. But at the end of the day, they need to be in the box scoring goals. And that's what Henry and David Villa ended up, finding a way to do. And they ended up scoring a bunch of goals in Major League Soccer. And that's something Gonzalo Higuain and Inter Miami and Phil Neville need to figure out, because not scoring from the run of plays is not what you would expect from Gonzalo Higuain.
Really well said. Franco Panizo from SBI Soccer joins us here on Onside Radio. So with that said, what or who did you really like this past Saturday? I mean, we talked about Federico. I also thought Nico Figal was tremendous, was arguably the man of the match in that game. What are some of the players that stood out to you?
Yeah, those 2 guys for me. I do my player ratings every week for SBISoccer.com after I rewatched the game a second time late at night. And I gave Nicolas Figal and Federico Higuain both 9 scores, 9 out of 10. They were both lights out. Obviously, you probably give man of the match. I mean, at least my opinion, you probably give man of the match to Federico for changing the complexion of the game. But Nicolas Figal was right there. Was right there in terms of the level of his performance. Obviously, he played for the 90 minutes, and he got the game-winning assist, almost set up an insurance goal to Gonzalo Higuain after that with another delicious pinpoint cross. So Nicolas Figal was right there. They were both named to the MLS Team of the Week earlier today, rightfully so. Just recognition because they both were incredible. I would also give a nod to Leandro Gonzalez Pires, who I also thought was rock solid at the back to his normal standard after some struggles in week 1. Had a lot of interventions. I think I saw the stat was 10, and a lot of those were aerial clearances, aerial interceptions. So good performance from the 2 center backs, good performance from Federico Higuain. I think I gave Gonzalez Pires an 8. But, yeah, those 3 were definitely a cut above most of the rest of the players.
Spot on. As always, Franco Panizo does a great job for SBISoccer.com. Make sure you follow him on Twitter, and also make sure you listen to Miami Total Football Radio. I always listen to you guys, you and Steve, every week, Franco. You do a great job. Thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate that, man. I'll tell El Primo you said hello.
Oh, certainly. That's great. So awesome stuff there. A really good breakdown of Inter Miami's win. And again, we're thrilled to have 3 points. We want to build on it. It doesn't mean the performance was perfect. So I think it's good to kind of look at what didn't work as well. I thought he raised some good points about Gonzalo Higuain dropping back so much, dropping so deep, because he's really needed in the box, and that's where Phil Neville wants him to primarily play. All right, we'll wrap up the 4 o'clock hour when we come back here on Onside Radio. I love, by the way, some of the comments coming in from the chat line about that the Marvel superhero NBA broadcast that they're going to do, and just how ridiculous it is. 844-416-8123 is how you get at us via the text line. That's 844-416-8123. Hey, Onside Radio understands gaming is a big part of the sports landscape. That's why every day we keep you updated with some of the latest gaming news with Onside Radio's E-Minute, hosted by Toast, Kai, and Michael Christian. If you miss it, it's podcasted daily. Search Onside Radio on all platforms, subscribe, rate, and review. OnsideRadio.com, the station gamers call home.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dano. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Join the Inter Miami family in 2021 by becoming a 2021 season ticket member. Enjoy enhanced access benefits and pricing not available to general fans. Visit intermiamicf.com/tickets for more information.
Hey Panthers fans, Dave Dwart here with some awesome news. Every Saturday, I'm going to bring you the latest on everything to do with the Florida Panthers with Chirping the Cats Radio. Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m., we'll dive into the state of the team, recap games, and hear from past and present Panthers players, and plenty of other great hockey guests too. Got questions about the Panthers? Call or text the show and we'll break it down. Don't miss Chirping the Cats Radio, Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m., only on OnsideRadio.com.
You're listening to OnsideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnsideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station.
Inter Miami CF, your official furniture and mattress store, is here. City Furniture is your #1 home source for the trends you want at the prices you'll love, including exclusive City Furniture collections, the widest selection of styles, affordable home accents, mattresses starting at just $99 and more. Create the home of your dreams fast with next-day delivery, plus get 60 months special financing with no down payment. Because City Furniture is here to make it easy so everyone can live life like this, visit cityfurniture.com.
If you missed Onside Zone with Big O, you missed.
The 25-year-old was reportedly arrested this past week near Vail, where a sheriff's deputy said he saw Camargo's car speeding and changing lanes erratically, which is always really smart. When you're carrying a lot of drugs, you want to speed, you want to swerve, you want to look like you're drunk and high and all that. You want to cause as much attention. You want to bring as much attention to you when you're carrying a load of drugs. That's just a tip for you, thieves out there, you drug dealers, you criminals. Bring all the attention possible to you while you're committing a crime. It's really, really smart.
The Onside Zone with Big O, only on OnsideRadio.com. You're listening to this station with more live and local sports talk than anyone else in South Florida. OnsideRadio.com. Broadcasting from South Florida to the world.
Can I get a captain?
Captain and what?
Captain and Ginger.
I can't hear you.
Captain and Ginger.
He was a captain and ginger. Captain and ginger. He was a captain and ginger.
Captain Morgan, official partner of Major League Soccer.
Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dano. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
I think he's got the Big O playlist working. But you know what? I don't mind it, man. You hang around with Big O long enough, you start to get into all these guitar solos and stuff. It's all good. Huge thanks to Franco Panizo for joining us. Huge thanks to Kyle Krabs for joining us in the 3 o'clock hour. If you ever miss an interview, guys, no worries. You can catch up with everything on the podcast. Go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Pods. You search Alex Dano. You search Onside Radio, Man of the Match. You can find my show. Subscribe to the pod. Catch up on everything you missed, my friends. Huge shout out to everyone who's with us on the YouTube chat. I've seen Enrique in there, Tremolio, Ray, Julian, or Julian, whichever you prefer to go by. I'm good either way. Rafa, Herman, who's an awesome dude, brought me that Honduras jersey today, which is really nice. Gus, Bromar Smelly, our guy, Brandon Flood, Matthew Chevres has been in. I think I mentioned Ray Grullon, Mike No Go Zones. Now this comment made me laugh. We were talking about how the NBA on ESPN, they're going to do a broadcast where ESPN, owned by Disney, Disney also owns Marvel. They are going to do a Marvel-themed NBA broadcast, which I think is the dumbest idea ever. Mike No Go Zones wrote, I'm speaking on behalf of the nerd community, and I think the fusion of Avengers and sports broadcasting is dumb. Why are you treating us like children? Like, the NFL did a Nickelodeon broadcast catered to children, but that was literally on a children's channel, trying to introduce the game of NFL football to kids who may not have been exposed to it otherwise. And now you've got the NBA on a regular ESPN broadcast needing to put superheroes into it. It's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. Something I want to go over, a couple things we have to get to at 5 o'clock. I've got to hear the trip report from Alex Aguirre. When he walked in today, I think he landed like in the middle of the night. He was at a bachelor party in Chicago. He walks in this afternoon, and my dude sounds hungover. Like, he sounds like he's still he's a few coffees away from being fully back among the living. I love it. Sounds like he had a great time. Bachelor parties are some of the best. God, like I'm getting so old that I don't know a lot of bachelors anymore. Like, all my friends are married. You know what I'm hoping for? Because I'm 36, so hopefully soon I'll get to an age where a lot of my married friends get divorced, get married again, and have another bachelor party. That's my next hope, because most of my friends are already married. So, isn't the statistic 50% of marriages end in divorce? I need half of my friends to get divorced, have new bachelor parties in my 40s so I can relive, because I went to a lot of bachelor parties in my 20s. I went to a few in my early 30s. I don't think I've been to actually, the last bachelor party I went to was about 2.5 years ago, because one buddy of mine, we're the same age, he didn't actually get married until he was like 34. So he had his bachelor party in Vegas a couple of years ago. Oh, my God, that was a time. What a time that was. But, yeah, it's been a while since I've been to one. I need some of my married friends to get divorced and just start the whole shebang over again, man. All right, so we got a lot to get to in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll have that and more coming your way next here on Onside Radio. Hey, Onside Radio enters Kai's Corner with Kai Chen Chisholm every day from 10 a.m. to noon. Join Kai as he discusses the biggest stories in South Florida sports. Tune in every day, 10 a.m. to noon, for Kai's Corner on the home for South Florida Sports Talk, OnsideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dano. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You're listening to OnsideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the Radio.net app. OnsideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station.
Hey everybody, it's Good Greek Moving and Storage, and for over 2 decades, they've been entrusted to handle all of your moving and storage needs. And now, Good Greek is the official mover of Inter Miami CF. And if Inter Miami trusts the Good Greek, you should too. For the best move ever, whether it's across town or across the country, go to GreekMoving.com. That's GreekMoving.com for Good Greek Moving and Storage, the official movers of your Inter Miami CF.
Miami Dolphins fans can always count on the best coverage at OnsideRadio.com. Every week, keep up with your favorite team as Dolphins writer Omar Kelly joins us with exclusive reports. And when news breaks, catch the EJDConstruction.com Miami Dolphins report on the home for Dolphins fans everywhere, OnsideRadio.com. You're listening to the flagship station of Inter Miami CF, OnsideRadio.com. Follow us on social media at Onside Radio. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dano.
It's all yours. Just keep it right here.
You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Yeah, 5 o'clock hour of Man of the Match with Alex Dano. Oh, I'm Alex Dano. And I'm with you guys here on OnsideRadio.com. Another hour of talk. We're going to talk a little more NFL draft. I want to get into something in a few minutes. Bleacher Report gave their nomination for every NFL team's all-time draft bust. I think they got it way wrong with the Dolphins. Not to say that the person that they chose wasn't a bust, but to call this the all-time biggest draft bust in Miami Dolphins history, way off. I would put 4 or 5 at least ahead of the one that they chose. So I want to get you guys' submissions. And I think that listeners of ours, we cover a wide range, right? I think some of our listeners are Dolphin fans in their 20s. We've got some Dolphin fans like in their 50s and 60s who are listening, who remember basically the entire history of the franchise. So whether your perspective is a young one or your perspective is more of a seasoned one, I would love to hear you guys' submissions on the biggest draft bust in Miami Dolphins history, because I think the answer is more recent than some people might think. But before we get to that, I got to hear a couple things from our pal Alex Aguirre, who took a long weekend in Chicago for his best buddy's bachelor party. First, Alex, why did he choose Chicago? He just likes the city, or does he have family there? What was the deal with Chicago?
Initially, the trip was going to be in Charleston. He wanted to go to Charleston.
Oh. What's going on? Is Charleston a good place?
I have no idea.
No, I've never heard of people visiting.
Neither have I. But he's my friend, so I was going to go along with it. I was like, let's do it.
Chicago sounds way better.
I was glad we went to Chicago. Definitely more than Charleston. But he didn't even choose Charleston. His future brother-in-law said, you know what? I think we should go to Chicago. I think it'll be a better idea. And he's like,
thank God.
Yeah. But we went to Chicago. When Chicago was my first time there, it was freezing still.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it was like.
Look at Chicago.
40s.
Like I don't know what like the political climate is like in Illinois. Are they open, or are they like they still pretty pandemic like concerned there? Like how's it work in Chicago?
People places are closing early still, like bars and clubs. Some places aren't even open yet. Like theaters aren't open yet. Places, like I said, closed early. But when I went to Wrigleyville, everything was open. It was
nice.
Everything was open because it was like the Cubs game was a day game.
Did you go to a game?
We didn't go inside Wrigley Field. We just were like just bar hopping around Wrigleyville.
That's even better.
Throughout the day and just eating and having a good time.
It's even better.
And then I finally tried Chicago deep dish pizza.
Okay, you have to give me the review because I fight with people about that. Now I've had some deep dishes. I've been to places like in Orlando that supposedly get all their ingredients from Chicago. Like they have one. What is it? It's not Pizzeria Uno. It's the other one. They have one. God, I can't remember, but they have one like near Universal Studios. They have like one of those Chicago pizza places that supposedly like all the ingredients they get like from their Chicago stores. So whatever it is. But okay, I want to hear the review. What did you think about the Chicago pizza?
Well, we went to because a buddy of mine that was going on the trip, he's been there before, and he was saying Giordano's. That's the place.
That's the one they have in Orlando, too, Giordano's.
Okay, so like it's a massive chain in Chicago as well. And even like I was like, well, if it's a chain, maybe let's try something else. But then we asked the tour guide, because we did an architecture tour like on the river, and he said the same thing as well, go to Giordano's. Okay. And the locals as well, they said the same thing, Giordano's is the way to go. And it did not disappoint. It was really good. It's just a totally different type of pizza. It's like literally all sauce, and then like the cheese was like infused in the middle, and then like it oozes out through the sides.
I mean, it basically
like
killed and I'm not saying it's bad. And again, I've had Giordano's in Orlando. That might not be the same as Giordano's in Chicago. Okay, like the issue I have with deep dish is it's so different. It's like a meat and cheese pie,
right?
Like more than it's like a meat quiche more than it is a pizza. But how full were you afterwards? Because the time that
was it.
Yeah, the time that I had the personal size one in Orlando, and I didn't eat for weeks after that. I was so full.
No, we were just pigging out though, because like people ordered like chicken parm and
nice.
and garlic bread, like just all types of apps and stuff. But then like I was like, I can't eat all this stuff before the pizza comes, because like we were watching other people's plates, and that thing looked massive. Like, and I knew that I couldn't I was gonna get a personal. We were all gonna be sharing like the big pies, and I could only go through 2. And then I was like, I think I'll be going to the bathroom a lot today if I continue to eat more of this, all this cheese and sauce and stuff. But it was good. It was good. We also went to another place, just another deep dish pizza place called El Jefe.
Ooh, I never heard of that one.
Yeah, no, because my sister's boyfriend, he lived in Chicago for a few years, so he was texting me recommendations. So we went to that one, and very similar. A lot of sauce. The cheese is like on the it's just very different. But it was good. I'll give it from 1 to 10. Giordano's, my experience with Giordano's, I'll give it like a 7.
Nice.
6, 7 around there, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's really good, man. How long? So you were there from what, like Thursday or Wednesday to when?
Thursday to and we arrived Monday morning. Today.
Oh my God! See, that's why you sound when you walked in, you sounded hungover. You got in like in
we
the
were
middle
battling,
of the night.
but we were battling all right. That's for sure. Yeah, like the flight was not fun. I'll tell you that.
Oh man, dude! Like I've done a lot of those red eyes. Like I remember the last time. In fact, when I went to my buddy's bachelor party in Vegas about 2.5 years ago, I had to leave the weekend early. Like I got there Wednesday and I had to fly back Friday night into Saturday morning because it was Miami, Florida State on Saturday, and I was working on, the team broadcast, the pregame. So I didn't want to, they only play 12 games a year. I didn't want to miss, one of these games. So I caught like the first 3 days of my buddy's 5-day debaucherous bachelor party, and I took a red eye on the way back, and I almost didn't make it because I'm such an idiot. When I booked the flight, because like since I was leaving Vegas like at night on Friday to arrive back on Saturday, you're flying 2 different dates. Like the departure date is different from the arrival date. And I accidentally booked a flight for the following day.
Oh.
And they only had, maybe I could have found another airline, maybe, but I was flying American because that's one of the airlines where you can fly direct from Miami. So if I had tried to find another airline, who knows, or they would have tried to connect me somewhere. And good luck doing that on a red eye. And like I had to cut because I didn't want to have to like on Saturday morning to tell my bosses, hey, by the way, I can't work this game. It would have been really bad. So I had to get back. So I had to pay like a bunch of extra money to get a first class ticket on the flight going out, that because I was booked on the one the next day, which would not have done because I would have missed the game. So I had to get an emergency. I had to pay like a $300 upcharge to go because all they had left was first class to fly back that night. And I got so screwed because certain planes, there's a huge difference between first class and coach.
Yeah.
This was one of those planes where it was like the seat was 3 inches wider and that's it. Like it was like nothing. Like I was like, oh my God, like come on. I don't have a freaking pod here. Like I don't have a personal. There might have been a personal screen. No, I don't think there was any food.
Oh man.
I think they might have given you free booze, but like I was already drunk when I got on the plane. I didn't need to like, and I was trying to sober up for the game the next day, so I didn't need to take advantage of the free booze in first class. But it was like, oh, it was so bad because I remember the plane that I flew over there on was a different type of plane. It was one of the ones where you walk through first class and you're like, oh my God, this is like completely different. Like this is like a vacation home in the plane. And then the plane I flew back on, the first class was barely any different from coach.
The other people got the vacation home. You got the retirement home.
And what I was really upset about was because I was on the red eye. It's like a 5-hour flight. Remember, you jump ahead 3 hours, so it was a 5-hour flight, but then there's an 8-hour time jump. But still, like on the 5-hour flight, I'm hoping like, hey, I can maybe get a little sleep on this plane because it's overnight. I got to work the next day. And I was thinking, oh, I'm going to be in a first-class seat. I'm going to be able to recline the entire way and turn it into a bed because some first-class seats do that. But again, this was the shittiest first-class seat of all time. I couldn't recline it all the way because it didn't go back that far, and I could not sleep the entire flight. Could not sleep. I'm not good at sleeping on planes.
Same.
There are some people where as soon as they sit down, as soon as the plane takes off, they're passed out for the entire flight. It's really difficult for me to sleep on planes. I could have done it if the seat reclined the entire way, but it reclined like 4 inches. So no, I could not sleep on the red eye. Did you get any sleep on your flight back?
I tried so hard because like we didn't get any sleep the last like 2 nights at all. So I can't fall asleep on planes for some reason. I took a flight one time from Miami to Spain, straight shot, about a 9.5-hour flight. Then I sleep a single second on that flight, and we left that. I left that night on purpose to make sleep overnight and everything. But it's just something about it that I just can't fall asleep on planes. So even as hungover and as tired as I was on that plane, I just couldn't. But I'm glad just to make it back. We made it back, and we didn't miss our flight. That's what I was worried about.
Oh, my God, yeah, that could be bad as well. Absolutely. By the way, I think Rosendo was asking for the address to the draft party, and wow, our guy Herman actually took care of him. But I'll let everybody know, if you want to come out to our 2-night draft event, come out to both nights, come out to either night. It doesn't matter as long as you can check it out and have fun with us at Sports Grill on Bird Road. The address is 11481 Southwest 40th Street, Miami, Florida, 33165. That's for the Sports Grill Bird Road. I got news for you. If any of our South Florida peeps have not had Sports Grill before, I would imagine most of the Dade County folks have. Maybe some of the Broward County folks haven't. You're missing out. I'm a chicken wing connoisseur. They have, for my money, the best chicken wings in town.
What's your favorite at Sports Grill?
Oh, the grilled special wings.
Okay.
Yeah, always. And listen, I actually, in a lot of places, I like fried wings. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, it's only grilled wings. No, like there are a lot of fried wings that I like. But when it comes to Sports Grill, and you can get fried wings there as well. Like, there are a number of different options. But the grilled special wings are, to me, the best in town. Absolute best in town. There's a Sports Grill right down the street from me, actually, at the Palmetto Golf Course. You know, down in near the zoo, 152nd Street. That's like just, I don't know, 3 miles away from my house. So I love going to that spot. I'm not sure if I've been to the one on Bird Road before, so I'm going to experience it for the first time. I've been to the one near me, obviously. I've been to the one in South Miami that opened there. It's in the old Beverly Hills Cafe spot. I prefer Sports Grill, so I'm happy that moved in there. I've been to one, if not two, different locations in Kendall. There was one near like the Kendall Ice place I've been. I think that was the first one that I ever went to. And yeah, I'm going to be experiencing the Bird Road location for the first time. That's going to be awesome. And Rosendo is asking what time the party is. So get there as early as you want. I mean, I tend to, when I go to broadcast, I tend to get there pretty early. So, but our show is going to start Thursday night at 7:30. Because the draft starts at 8, so we get on a half hour before so we can kind of set the table. So the Thursday broadcast will start at 7:30 with the draft starting at 8. The second day, the draft starts at 7, so we go on the air at 6:30. So 6:30 showtime on Friday, 7:30 showtime on Thursday, and I'm probably going to be there at the Sports Grill probably by like 6 o'clock on Thursday and probably by like 5:30 on Friday. So I'm going to be out there pretty early if anyone wants to come hang out. Mike No Go Zones. And this dude flies all the time. He says, Alex, I'm the same way. I just can't sleep sitting down even after downing several drinks. and my guy Mike, Mike a few weeks ago was just in Afghanistan filming videos. Mike, you got to tell me, how long does it take? And I'm assuming you have to make connections. Like, I don't think there's any like direct flights from MIA to Kandahar, Afghanistan. I'm guessing you probably have to make a connection or two to fly into that part of the world. But like, how long is the travel time from South Florida to Afghanistan? I would love to know. I would love to know how long that flight takes. You know, the longest flight, I think, nonstop flight that I've ever had was this was broken up, but it was so Miami to LA and then LA to Tokyo, and I think the flight from LA to Tokyo was actually shorter than I expected it to be. It's like 11 or 12 hours maybe, because I'm sure there's some flights like from LA and San Francisco to like Beijing, which are longer because that's farther west than Japan is, but flying from LA to Japan was not a picnic. You break it up, though, because the way that we did it was we flew one day. So it just makes the trip longer, so you have to have enough time off. But we flew from Miami to L.A., got to L.A. like in the early afternoon. We spent the night there, had some good Mexican food there in L.A., and then the next morning we fly out to Tokyo. So that makes it feel a little bit shorter if like you break it up over 2 days, because if you did that whole trip in one day, that would be a real bitch. All right, let's go out to the phones. Bring in our good friend Rick in Carroll City. Good afternoon, Rick. What's up, man?
Dono, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing a lot better now that we're finally 3 days away from the first round, because I got to be honest with you, Rick. As much as I love talking draft, having the same conversations about the same players for 3 months gets a little tiring. So I'm glad we're finally almost there.
Oh, no doubt. No question, man. It does get frustrating to hear the same conversations, and also to hear all these fake insiders that are working for all these NFL teams.
Right.
But anyway, it is what it is. All the smoke screens are out there. It's a beautiful marriage if you really think about it. each one is trying to use the other to get something accomplished. So
and you know what the funny
what a
thing
marriage
is,
really
Rick,
is.
that like I think there are some reporters that are really smart and like they know that they're being used, but then there are some reporters that are not that bright and they don't even realize they're getting used. Like I think our guy Dan Orlovsky a few weeks ago when he was, slandering Justin Fields a little bit, like it was pretty obvious he was being used, but I don't think he realized he was being used by teams.
And he's on one of the biggest platforms to be totally, embarrassed. So, it is what it is, man. But I think we are looking at the most critical decision-making time frame that Chris Greer has ever been involved with. Even more important than last year, I would say.
Yeah.
And that might shock a lot of people because you'd say, well, you got your quarterback last year. Well, you don't really know if you do have your quarterback, so you better make sure that you find somebody this year in the later rounds, mid to late rounds, that might be just not just as talented, but just as serviceable.
Good insurance policy.
Under center.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that because Rick, I'm certainly not a fan of the idea of taking a quarterback at number 6 because that to me is indecisive management. But I don't think there's anything because there are some people who have the philosophy that NFL teams should be drafting quarterbacks every year because it's such a commodity. So, and the Dolphins have a dozen picks in this draft, so they can afford, I think, in the later rounds to take a flyer on finding a diamond in the rough at quarterback who, if he doesn't end up being a starter here or somewhere, could end up being a serviceable backup.
I keep looking at the kid that was De'Aaron King's backup in high school and was kind of almost a walk-on, was going to be a walk-on, and then they had a Scully opened up for him up in Gainesville. I think that kid, I know he's not the best athlete in the pocket, but the kid can sling it, Don. And we all know the same thing. You got to sling the ball, bro. You got to be able to sling it and put it where it needs to be. Doesn't matter how great of an athlete you are or not. And to add to my point, when you got a kid like Mac Jones, when you look at this kid without a shirt on, you're like, really? You might be the third pick of the draft? Really? So, anyway, now I'll talk about the two local kids. Actually, the local kids here from UM in the draft. I heard the Big O say today that Jalen Phillips was too big of a risk. He's got the concussions. Don, I'd like for someone to be able to identify a kid that has not just taken any freaking concussions in football. Right. I mean, please, everybody's got damn concussions. What you're looking at is who can make the biggest impact right now, who's got the best long-range potential impact, who's got a chance to grow a little bit more. And, yeah, Rousseau does. But Jalen Phillips, I mean, I can't stand here in conversations that this kid's not a first-rounder. He's only played 1 year. Well, there's a lot of guys only have one. They're a 1 year hit wonder in college football, and they're drafted in the first round. Yeah. It's the way it goes. There's certain attributes you can't teach. So, hoping that both of those kids end up in a good spot. But there's one guy who's kind of being ignored here, and I think you know who it is.
No,
Quincy Roche.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, to me,
talking about the kid.
Well, he's to me he's probably a later day 2 guy. He just like his measurables don't pop off the page the way that the other 2 guys do. But I think if somebody gets him in the 3rd or 4th round, they're going to be thrilled. Like I think he's going to end up exceeding the expectations.
I mean, I'm not going to say he's the next Zach Thomas out of Texas Tech. But the tape don't freaking lie, Donald. The eye in the sky, that baby never lies. And it shows him making plays everywhere. And maybe, just maybe, our kicker might go in the 6th or 7th round. The kid from the transfer from FIU.
Yeah,
his little brother's going to be the next coming of, I don't know, Jeff DeFlee Davis over here at UM. But damn. I mean, it's on. That kid's got a leg.
Yeah, Borregales he's no question he's a Sunday kicker, and it's so obvious that listen, a lot of times kickers don't get drafted; they have to go the UFA route. But I think when you find a guy who's as dependable as Borregales, I think you're right. I think a team is going to have to say, you know what, just to make sure we get this guy, because we may not be able to sign him off the scrap heap, after the draft. We're going to have to make sure in the 7th round we step up and take this guy, man. Rick, I appreciate the call as always, my friend, and I can tell you're pumped up for the draft. Well. I love it. Be well. Be well.
Let's go.
And I appreciate his sentiment towards Jalen Phillips. It's teams are doing their due diligence on him. They're going to look over the medicals. They're going to see just how big of a factor his concussion issues were. Like what Rick said there. It's hard to find football players who haven't suffered concussions. Doesn't seem like defensive end is that heavy of a concussion position, but he obviously had enough issues with his concussions at UCLA that he temporarily retired. So there are some questions to answer there. I think if you're strictly projecting talent, Jalen Phillips to me looks like he is the slightly better talent than Greg Rousseau, but maybe Greg Rousseau has more potential and a higher ceiling. I don't think you can go wrong with either guy. All right, we'll continue more in the 5 o'clock hour coming up here on Onside Radio. More very upsetting, sentiment here about our guy, Victor Oladipo. Soft as Charmin. Something Ira Winderman said about him got me a little bit annoyed. Plus, I still have to get to what Bleacher Report says is the Miami Dolphins' biggest draft bust of all time. I'll have that for you guys when we come back here on Onside Radio. Hey, over the last 30 years, South Florida fans have always been able to count on one radio show that gives you the brutal honesty you need. Orlando Alzagari in the Onside Zone, daily from noon to 3 p.m. exclusively at OnsideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the man of the match with Alex Dano. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You can now watch Onside Radio daily by subscribing to our YouTube and Twitch channels. Search Onside Radio. Log on, subscribe, rate, and review Onside Radio on YouTube and Twitch. Find out why Big O has a face for radio. OnsideRadio.com, South Florida's home for real sports talk. This Saturday, Inter Miami CF visits the Philadelphia Union at Subaru Park.
And now Higuain trying to bend his run in behind. Flag is temporarily stayed down. Higuain is in. That's a square with Robinson. No square. Robbie Robinson has opened the scoring. The flag is stayed down. And Inter Miami are off and running in 2021. They lead the LA Galaxy by a goal to nil.
Join OnsideRadio.com as we broadcast live from Dangerous Minds Brewing Company in Pompano. Our pregame broadcast watch party starts at 7 p.m. Game time is 8 p.m. Listen to all the games by going to our website at OnsideRadio.com and download any of our apps. Follow Inter Miami CF all year long on your home for football. OnsideRadio.com.
Inter Miami CF, your official furniture and mattress store, is here. City Furniture is your #1 home source for the trends you want at the prices you'll love, including exclusive City Furniture collections, the widest selection of styles, affordable home accents, mattresses starting at just $99 and more. Create the home of your dreams fast with next-day delivery, plus get 60 months special financing with no down payment. Because City Furniture is here to make it easy so everyone can live life like this, visit cityfurniture.com.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. First responders are people who stand for a greater purpose. They will be there for you when nobody else is, to help you, your family, your community. This is their selfless promise. This is their sworn duty to protect, to serve, to help. They put themselves in harm's way for us. They come to the rescue at times when we need them most. First responders are making enormous personal sacrifices to keep showing up for us and fighting the good fight. Nearly 70% of all firefighters are volunteers. That means when they get injured or quarantined, they may not have a way to pay their rent or keep their family safe and fed. No matter who you are or where you live, when you call 911 and ask for help, first responders show up. Now, let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org and make a difference today.
You're listening to the station with more live and local sports talk than anyone else in South Florida. OnsideRadio.com. Broadcasting from South Florida to the world. You're listening to OnsideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnsideRadio.com. South Florida's true hometown station. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dono. Check this out. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Not to brag, but I went 3 for 3 in soccer bets today. Had Napoli on the money line. They got it done. Had Real Sociedad on the money line. They got it done. And I had Lazio on the money line. They beat AC Milan 3-0 today. It's humiliation. Boy, this weekend, I'm going to consider Monday to be an extension of the weekend. This has been one of the greatest weekends ever. Oh, and our buddy, I want to throw a shout-out to Mike No Go Zones. I owe you a congratulations, man. Mike is a big Lazio fan. Lazio are fighting for Champions League, and they absolutely humiliated AC Milan today. So Mike did me a solid. AC Milan are my, crosstown rivals from Inter Milan, who I love. Inter are in first place, and Milan have now dropped. I want to say they're definitely out of the top 4. I want to say they dropped to 5th place with their loss to Lazio today. So congratulations, Mike. Job well done by you and your lads out there. Correa scored twice. Ciro Immobile scored just the nail in the coffin to make it 3-0 late in the game. So that was awesome. And Mike wrote in, by the way, I want to update you guys on this because I was asking him how long does it take, and I assumed there was a connection, and there is, because Mike recently went to Afghanistan to film videos out there. How long does it take to fly from Miami to Afghanistan? He says it's 12 hours from Miami to Istanbul, and then another 5 hours from Istanbul to Kabul, Afghanistan. And I said, God, that's a lot of flying. He says, yes, it is. Luckily, the Istanbul airport is a cool place. It has a museum, good shopping, and a sports pub that broadcasts sports from the USA. Okay, so now tell me about the Kabul airport. Honestly, what is that like? What is an airport, an international airport in Afghanistan like? That's what I'm really curious about, dude, because I've been to airports a lot of different places in the world, but I've never been to a place like Afghanistan before. I've been to the airport in Tokyo. I've been to a lot of different airports in Europe. Heathrow in London, Charles de Gaulle in Paris, Malpensa in Milan, Leonardo da Vinci Airport in Rome. I've been to the Munich Airport. There's a lot of nice airports out in Europe. I've been to many airports in the USA. I've been to airports in the Caribbean, the airports in the Caribbean are great because those are a lot of them are really half-assed. The airport in the Cayman Islands, it's a couple of buildings and a runway. It's crazy. It's awesome. Oh man. But no, I would love to know what the airport in Kabul, Afghanistan is like. Is the runway a dirt road? Is there pavement on it? Please tell me more. 844-416-8123 is the number. That's 844-416-8123. Is this something, Alex, that they have at Sports Grill? Because a texter writes in, am I the only one that calls the Dale wings Dale wings? Is that an item that they have, Dale wings? Is that something on the menu?
That does ring a bell.
Dale.
Dale, yeah. Dale wings. Just depends on who's ordering it. But, yeah, I really don't know many people who have ordered the Dale wings. But I personally, if I were to order them, I'll call it Dale.
Dono, how about our first win? The texter writes, you were right. The haters seeing this win, big for us since Philly is supposed to be a tough squad, being in CONCACAF Champions League and winning the Shield last year. What do you do? What you do after that second goal was in the back? Well, if you're asking me what I did, I was jumping up and down. I was fist bumping people at our watch party at Dangerous Minds Brewing in Pompano. This team has a lot of haters talking about Inter Miami. I hope they keep putting up results like they put up in Philadelphia because there are so many blowhard losers who cover Major League Soccer who turn up their noses at Inter Miami. I don't know what it is, but they hate this team. People are doing victory laps after, this whole Blaise Matuidi situation. these people are excited, like to see how are they going to, I can't wait till they throw the book at Miami. Oh, they're going to get punished. Like, people are excited about this, and it's absolutely disgusting. Like, people are trying to take joy in this franchise, not living up to whatever your initial expectation might have been. Like, they got into the playoffs last year, but all these snobs like, well, they wouldn't have gotten in if it was a regular year. They weren't really good enough. And I see all these predictions. Inter Miami, they're going to finish 11th place, 12th place in the East. It's like, just look at the squad, you chooch. This team does not have the 11th, 12th, or 13th best squad in the East. At worst, 7th place, which would be the final playoff spot. I predicted preseason, my official prediction on the show, I went on record saying that I think Inter Miami are going to finish 6th place in the East, grab a playoff spot. And listen, I'm standing by that. I would love to see them finish even higher, believe me. But all of these low-life losers who just want to see this team fail, I guess because they don't like the fact that Inter Miami want to actually spend money to get well-known players, and they don't like the glamour that comes with David Beckham being behind it, and they still have this attitude like, Miami is a bad sports market, they don't deserve a team. Just look at this place. Once we get to the point, and it may happen hopefully this summer, knock on wood, when we get to a point where we are allowed to fill up the stadium here, this place is going to be electric. I mean, we had 8,000 fans here for the opener week and a half ago, 8 days ago, and it's a little less than a week and a half ago. And even the commentators on television were saying the 8,000 here sounded like 50,000. We have great fans. Had we had the original home opener as scheduled, the pandemic cut it off last year, this was going to be a coronation for one of the best fan bases in Major League Soccer. And those were fans supporting this club before they even played a single game. This place would have been crazy. This whole narrative about South Florida having crappy fans, it's just, it's so tired. And I'm telling you, soccer, right place, right time, which I think this franchise is, it is a spark that is going to ignite into a blaze. This is going to be incredible once we're able to have all the fans in this building. And then in a couple of years, we get into what's going to be the new stadium down at Miami Freedom Park, which is going to be larger. It's going to be absolutely through the roof, man. So there are a lot of haters who don't believe in this team and in this franchise who are going to be eating crow by the end of this season. I guarantee you that. All right, I want to devote the entire next segment to this. What was the biggest draft bust in Miami Dolphins history? And how do we make sure we avoid a similar fate this year, okay? Because we don't want to be drafting any busts, whether it be at number 6 or number 18. Please avoid the busts at all costs. We'll continue on the other side here on Onside Radio. Hey, Florida Panthers fans have a place to call home every Saturday morning as Cats insider David Dwork hosts Chirping the Cats Radio every Saturday at 10 a.m. Onside Radio is committed to all sports, and Panthers fans can now connect every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. with David Dwork on the home for Panthers fans worldwide, OnsideRadio.com.
The man of the match with South Florida's own Alex Dano. Weekdays 1 to 5 p.m. on the home for Inter Miami football. OnsideRadio.com.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that. Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
If you missed Onside Zone with Big O, you missed.
Big O, Tito is not allowed in the Boom Boom Room. Never seen Smokey and the Bandit. Never seen Top Gun. What's the matter with these kids? Look at that. Now you can't hang out with Salma, Paige, Sophia. See, now you can't hang out with the ladies because you have not seen Top Gun.
Yeah, I would just hope that, like I said, the Boom Boom Room is sanitized. I would hope.
Well, I don't know, but did you hear about the 81-person orgy?
No.
What is wrong with you?
The Onside Zone with Big O, only on OnsideRadio.com. You're listening to the only sports station in South Florida that likes to take your calls. 888-441-4623. We connect with a South Florida sports fan because we are South Florida. Locally owned and operated. 888-441-4623. OnsideRadio.com. South Florida's home for real sports talk.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can STEM, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can STEM, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keeping you informed in the world of sports. With an OnsideRadio.com sports update.
There's a lot of winning going on over the weekend for South Florida sports as Inter Miami beat the Philadelphia Union 2-1. Gonzalo Higuain scored in the 73rd minute. Federico Higuain added a header for the win in the 83rd minute. Next match at Nashville, and the next Sunday pregame starts at noon and called the game at 1 p.m. The Marlins lost 3 out of 4 to the San Francisco Giants over the weekend. The Fish are back in action facing the Milwaukee Brewers starting tonight at 7:40 with Trevor Rogers on the mound for your Fish. Saturday, the Miami Heat beat the Bulls 106-101. Duncan Robinson had the hot hand with 7 3-pointers and finishing off with 23 points. The Heat welcome the Chicago Bulls at the AAA tonight. The tip-off is at 8 p.m. The Florida Panthers beat the Carolina Hurricanes 4-3 in overtime on Saturday. The Panthers will be back on the ice against the Nashville Predators on Tuesday. Puck drops at 8 p.m. With your On-Site Sports Update, I'm Alex Aguirre. And coming up, it's more Man of the Match with Alex Dono right here at OnsideRadio.com.
You're listening to OnsideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnsideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dono. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
So something caught my eye this morning. Bleacher Report went through every NFL team asking what's the biggest draft bust in franchise history. Now, hopefully, whoever we draft this Thursday and Friday, none of these, and Saturday for that matter, although you don't really tend to call third day guys busts, but hopefully nobody we draft this weekend ends up in this sort of a conversation. I thought Bleacher Report got this one wrong, though. They identify supposedly the biggest draft bust in Miami Dolphins history. They went with Eric Kumaro. You could have done better than that, or worse than that, depending on how you look at it. So he was the 16th overall pick in 1988. They write, with the 16th overall pick in 87, the Dolphins attempted to boost the pass rush with the addition of Boston College edge rusher John Bosa, the father of those amazingly talented children of his. Bosa's biggest claim to fame in the pros is being the father of a pair of Pro Bowl pass rushers in Joey and Nick. Explains how well that worked out. He accrued just 7 total sacks in 3 seasons in Miami. Apparently, the Dolphins are a fan of the old saying, if you don't succeed, try again, because they went right back to that well the following year with the selection of Ohio State's Eric Kumaro. Somehow, Miami managed to do even worse the second time around. Kumerow may have been a force with the Buckeyes, but he was a farce in Miami. Funny, over 3 seasons, he didn't start a game and registered all of 5 sacks. Here's my thing. Not saying he wasn't a bust, but Eric Kumerow is not the biggest bust in Miami Dolphins draft history. I think it was another defensive end, though. I give the nod to Dion Jordan. I mean, tell me I'm wrong, okay? Terrible pick. Jeff Ireland, the knucklehead, actually traded up 9 spots from number 12 to number 3 to go draft Dion Jordan, who did nothing for the Miami Dolphins. Absolutely nothing. And we knew there were red flags within weeks of him being drafted, because right after Dion Jordan got drafted, the first thing that I saw in the newspaper was that Jason Taylor had been trying to reach out to Dion Jordan to mentor him and work out with him, and he didn't return Jason Taylor's calls. I mean, what are you freaking doing? One of the greatest players in NFL history reaches out to you because he'd like to work with you, train with you, and mentor you, and you don't give the guy the time of day. Right there, you knew Dion Jordan was going to be a flop, and he was a flop. He also had addiction issues, and listen, you can talk about it being a disease, which is fine, but the bottom line is Dion Jordan did not work out here in Miami. That was a dreadful pick. Not only was he the 3rd overall pick, you traded up 9 spots to get him. For my money, Dion Jordan is the biggest draft bust in Miami Dolphins history. That was 8 years ago, 2013. Pick number 3, first round. There are a couple of others that I remember well. Jamar Fletcher was a bad one. That was a Dave Wanstedt deal. 2001, he was the 26th pick. But again, you're talking about the 26th pick versus the 3rd pick. The Ted Ginn pick wasn't great. Although, Ted Ginn ended up, he's had a long, solid career, just unfortunately didn't do enough for the team that drafted him. Some people giving a shout to Pat White. Was Pat White a late 2nd rounder? That was bad. Yeah, Pat White was not a good pick. But again, at the very best, you thought drafting Pat White might be, it was more of like a gimmick. Oh, we're going to run him in the Wildcat. But yeah, it wasn't like you spent an early 1st-round pick on the guy. Yeah, Pat White was the 2nd-round pick, 44th overall. That was bad. I mean, and Pat White, he took that hit against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought he was dead. That was just unreal, that hit that he took. It ain't Kumerow. That wasn't a good pick, but there's no way. There's no way you could say that was the biggest bust in Miami Dolphins history. And you know what? Rosendo makes a good point. If they're going to say it's Eric Kumerow, John Bosa is on that list as well. I mean, the guy that they took in the same pick the year prior, he didn't do anything here. Rafa in Miami writes, has to be Dion Jordan, and it's not close. You traded up to get him. Thank you. Traded up 9 spots to get the guy. If you're gonna, it's bad enough to take the wrong player at number 3. You trade up 9 spots to get to number 3. You bet your ass you better be getting a franchise-changing player. Oh man, Endo had initially, I think he agrees with me on Dion Jordan, but initially he said Ryan Tannehill. The thing is, Tannehill proved not to be a franchise quarterback here. Didn't take the Dolphins franchise anywhere. He took us to, 1 playoff appearance, no playoff. In fact, he couldn't even play in the playoff game, right? Matt Moore played in it. Listen, Tannehill, he's not a bust nearly at the level of some of these other names we've mentioned. Didn't work out well here, but he's not quite that not quite that big of a bust. Mike No Go Zones wrote, honorable mention for Pat White, yes, and John Beck. Yeah, John Beck did literally nothing. I mean, I'm happy John Beck is now thriving as a quarterback coach. He helps quarterbacks prepare for the draft. He's been working with Justin Fields. So John Beck is accomplishing more as a coach and a mentor as he did as a player. Some players are just suited better to be coaches after the fact. A lot of times great players don't make great coaches, and bad to mediocre players end up making much better coaches. Yeah, Enrique points out picking Jamar Fletcher over Drew Brees was an awful pick. Yeah, the Dolphins could have used Drew Brees. That's right. That was the Drew Brees year. Drew Brees went, what did he go, the first pick of the 2nd round, I think? And the Dolphins could have used a quarterback. And no, we got Jay Fiedler. We're good. We got to go out and pick Jamar Fletcher. Oh, that was bad. Enrique writes, Eric Kumaro was a very bad pick also. He was bad. I just don't think it was Deion Jordan level bad. Shula couldn't draft a lick. Rosendo wrote in, well, listen, he did all right with number 13. Shula defensive first-round picks with Marino were awful. That's true. Ted Ginn sucked, Bromar Smelly wrote. The thing about Ted Ginn that's so weird, that draft day was like the Twilight Zone. I mean, this was afternoon. This is when the first round used to be on Saturday. How far we've come. Now we do the first round Thursday in prime time. Second, third round on Friday. We used to do like at noon was the first overall pick. It's now a made-for-TV product, the draft. But I remember that Saturday afternoon. It was so weird because the Dolphins drafted Ted Ginn at number 9, and we were all crying because they didn't draft Brady Quinn. That would have been an even worse pick. Like Ted Ginn ended up being a much better NFL player than Brady Quinn. So in a way, we kind of dodged a bullet there. Oh, man. Yeah, Ted Ginn getting a lot of love. Ginn was a reach. Ginn has more yards than Malcolm Floyd. I mean, Ted Ginn has had actually, longevity-wise, a good NFL career. So, yeah, there you have it. No doubt Eric Kumaro was not a good draft pick in 88, but we've done a lot worse. The Miami Dolphins as a franchise have done a lot worse, man. I just hope in 5 years we're not having this conversation about Tua Tagovailoa. I don't think we will. I really don't think we will. I'm not one of those people who's gloom and doom on Tua. You're going to see Tua's full potential. You know, the same way that I talk about all these lowlifes who are just talking shit about Inter Miami left and right and want this franchise to fail, a lot of people want that for Tua. I don't know what happened. Because when Tua came out from Alabama, very well liked, he's such a nice guy. Like, Tua is such a nice guy, family first, doesn't get into any trouble. You know, he's not out there, booking the massages the way that our friend in Houston is doing. Like, Tua Tagovailoa does everything the right way. Everything. He should be a media darling. Instead, the media is trying to replace this guy left and right. Oh, Skip Bayless says, the Dolphins need to get rid of Tua and draft a quarterback at number 6. God, I want nothing more than for Tua next year because he's going to have weapons. I mean, you've already brought in Will Fuller. That's good. You're going to bring in, hopefully, Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts or Jalen Waddle. God, if the Dolphins can also bring in Najee Harris, I think that's the icing on the cake. I'm with our friend Omar on that. Omar Kelly is big on the idea of getting Najee Harris at 18. Big O is not. I think he's a little bit more pragmatic and logical, right? He doesn't think that number 18 is a good spot to get a running back. Historically, it's not. To me, running back is a need, and I think Najee Harris is just so special. I'm going to be geeking out. If the Dolphins can get one of those receivers or tight ends at number 6, and then also get Najee Harris at number 18, watching the Miami Dolphins offense next year, it's going to be must-see TV. Like, it's going to be like, you remember, like, the first season of Survivor? I don't know if Alex Aguirre is old enough to remember that. That was, like, the first season of Survivor. All of America, I think it was on Monday nights, all of America on Monday nights would just stop and they would watch Survivor. Because we hadn't seen anything like that. I mean, we had, like, the only reality TV we had before Survivor was The Real World. But there was no competition. Like, Survivor, oh, my God, they're living on an island. They're out there fighting the elements. It's dangerous. They're getting sunburned. They're eating plants. They're eating bamboo and fish that they catch themselves. And there's this one dude who walks around naked all the time. What's his deal? It's like every freaking Monday, all of America would stop to watch Survivor Season 1. This is, I think, this was the year 2000. It was the greatest thing since sliced bread, Survivor. The Miami Dolphins offense is going to be better than Survivor Season 1. If you can get Kyle Pitts and Najee Harris in the first round, bros, this is going to be better than the random dude who walked around naked. I think he won. I think the guy who won the first season was the guy who was naked all the time. Thank God they bleeped out the private parts because I didn't want to see that. Like I didn't want to look at the dude's junk, but they blurred it out. Thank God. 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. We'll wrap up this episode of Man of the Match on the other side here on Onside Radio. Hey, every Saturday at 11 a.m., soccer fans can connect with Austin Robillard and Red Card Radio. From the Premiership to the MLS, catch up with your favorite team, including our very own Inter Miami CF. Listen to Red Card Radio every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. with Austin Robillard, exclusively at OnsideRadio.com.
The man of the match with South Florida's own Alex Dono. Weekdays 1 to 5 p.m. on the home for Inter Miami football. OnsideRadio.com.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can STEM, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can STEM, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
A Shiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now, it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit aceyourretirement.org today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Parents, we know we can't protect our kids from everything. Eventually, they're going to bump their heads or scrape their knees. But we can protect them from 6 types of cancer. HPV, or human papillomavirus, is a common preventable virus that can cause cancer later in life. The HPV vaccine prevents human papillomavirus and all the cancers it can cause. The American Cancer Society recommends getting your sons and daughters the HPV vaccine starting at age 9 to protect them later in life.
This Saturday, Inter Miami CF visits the Philadelphia Union at Subaru Park.
And now Higuain trying to bend his run in behind. Flag is temporarily stayed down. Higuain is in. Has to square with Robinson. He'll square. Robbie Robinson has opened the scoring. The flag is stayed down. And Inter Miami are off and running in 2021. They lead the LA Galaxy by a goal to nil.
Join OnsideRadio.com as we broadcast live from Dangerous Minds Brewing Company in Pompano. Our pregame broadcast watch party starts at 7 p.m. Game time is 8 p.m. Listen to all the games by going to our website at OnsideRadio.com and download any of our apps. Follow Inter Miami CF all year long on your home for football. OnsideRadio.com.
Join the Inter Miami family in 2021 by becoming a 2021 season ticket member. Enjoy enhanced access benefits and pricing not available to general fans. Visit intermiamicf.com/tickets for more information.
You're listening to OnsideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnsideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station. You're listening to the station with more live and local sports talk than anyone else in South Florida. OnsideRadio.com, broadcasting from South Florida to the world. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Dono. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Man, I hope our reporter friends in town are getting legit info and they're not being used as smoke screens. We got some people who are pretty good at their jobs. I trust Barry Jackson. I would trust Barry Jackson with the life of like a second cousin. Like I wouldn't necessarily like trust him like for the life of my child or like a direct blood relative, but like for a second cousin, I would trust their life in the hands of Barry Jackson. He's pretty good. Barry Jackson wrote, Miami Dolphins have had multiple virtual meetings and conversations with top running back prospects Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, and Javonte Williams. I love Javonte Williams as well. If you don't get Najee Harris at 18, Javonte Williams would be a nice consolation in the second round. So the Dolphins have had multiple virtual meetings with those players heading into next week's, which is this week's draft. And it would be surprising if the Dolphins once again bypassed the position during the first 2 rounds. According to sources, the Dolphins have spent a significant amount of time with Alabama's Harris, while North Carolina's Williams and Clemson's ETN have had multiple Zoom sessions with the Dolphins staff and front office. As soon as we're officially done with COVID, I never want to log on to Zoom again. I'm going to delete my software. Like I'm telling you, like the first way, like whenever we get the all clear from the globalists or the deep state or like whoever has to decide when COVID is officially over, which they may never do, by the way. But once we get like the all clear, I'm going to put the Zoom software in my trash bin on my laptop, and I'm just going to be done with it. I never want to Zoom ever again. Right? They're just I appreciate in-person meetings. I'm not one of these people. Like I notice a lot of people, like basement dwellers, who are like saying, oh, the best thing about the pandemic is like, oh, I don't have to go into the office anymore and I want to work remotely for the rest of my life. We should never go back to the office. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I actually enjoy going into a workplace. Like I cannot be at my intellectual best and my productive best when I'm at home. Too many distractions. I need supervision. Like I need a boss looking over my shoulder, I think. I need to actually be in a place of work. And I guess everybody's different, right? I got distractions at home. My kid's not going to be a toddler forever, but now like I can't get any work done at home when my 3-year-old's running around because he doesn't understand that other people's time is valuable. Like he's only about his time. He doesn't care about my time. So I can't get any work done at home. And if I'm home, like, oh, I've got the TVs over there calling my name. There's Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, although I still have the PlayStation 4. I'm probably never going to upgrade to the 5. It's too goddamn expensive. But there's too many distractions at home. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I want to work from home forever. No, man, I actually like going into an office. I like seeing other people. More productive that way. What did Ira Winderman had an update the other day on Victor Oladipo, how, you can't necessarily count on him doing much or anything in the postseason. Here it is. Ira wrote, "It certainly feels like we're approaching critical mass in that respect, with only 11 regular season games remaining, but nothing over the past 2 weeks points toward Victor Oladipo being a viable playoff competitor. And with Eric Spoelstra declining to offer updates beyond that, Victor again was out Saturday. There has been no indication of what the next step will be or when he will come." So this guy's missed games for a head cold. He's missing games for an imaginary knee injury. I'm done. I'm out of the Victor Oladipo business. I feel like he owes us some money in salary. Like if you're just he and Kyrie Irving, like Kyrie Irving who takes personal time off all the time, like pay some of your salary back. It's ridiculous. All right, we'll talk to you guys again tomorrow. 3 p.m. We'll do a lot more NFL draft stuff with you. A huge thanks to everyone who tuned in today, everyone who texted us, got in on the YouTube chat. Big thanks to Kyle Krabs and Franco Panizo for joining us. Huge shout out to Alex Aguirre and Tito Benach for doing an awesome job. We'll talk to you guys again 3 o'clock tomorrow here on OnsideRadio.com.
You're listening to the flagship station of Inter Miami CF, OnsideRadio.com. Follow us on social media at Onside Radio.
Hey, it's Big O for EJD Construction, your custom home builder, additions and home remodeling. Our lives have changed. We're making our homes more of an oasis. Call the right place. Call the right people. Eric at EJD Construction for over 16 years. A-rated member of Angie's List in the Better Business Bureau. 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJD.